We have 22 on.
How much?
22 on. Okay. Okay. All right. Awesome. So we have.
Looks good.
Hopefully our, yes. Yay. Okay. It looks like people are joining us. Yes. Okay. The last couple people. Yay. Okay. Thank you for bearing with us. Okay.
Woohoo,
You can tell that a lot of people on here know me because I have my phone number. Okay. I'm going to introduce the platform. We are using Dem.io, and obviously it's new to us, and we've done a lot of practicing, and we're still learning. One of the things about Dem.io that's different from Zoom is that we cannot see you guys, so please, if you have questions, use the chat function. We'll also be popping up some polls and links along the way to engage you through the platform, but really use it. Ask us questions, slow us down, speed us up. And then also, please share pictures on social media. We're going to be tracking the hashtag Friendsgiving today. And so if you use the hashtag Friendsgiving and also tag us, it's at LEFDP, which stands for Live Earth Farm Discovery Program. And that's on Facebook and Twitter. And then we're at Farm Discovery on Instagram. So don't forget the hashtag, don't forget the tags, then we can see your pictures. We really do want to see what it looks like in your kitchens. We want to feel connected. This whole night is about friendship and community and giving. And we're just so pleased to be together in this unique, novel way. And are really looking forward to the evening. We have a lovely family here who's going to cook with us, and Chef Martin. Martin has a business called Capitola Garden Feast, and they bring teams and families closer together. The Denton family have several connections to the farm and to us personally. We have a soccer teammate here and former SoCal Penn students. And Sheila has a business called Purple Beet Family, focusing on nutrition and homeschooling. She's been busy this year. And we're just so honored to have these guys with us and excited to cook with you all and them in our kitchen. And let me just mention before we get started all the folks who supported the event today. We have Alfaro Family Vineyards, Storrs Winery and Vineyards, Scheid Vineyards, J. Lore, Capitola Garden Feast, Discretion Brewing, Flying Embers Hard Kombucha, of course, Live Earth Farm. Andrea Amoedo gave us a lot of the lovely plates that are out that we're using, these beautiful ceramics. And then Annie Glass also donated platters for us to use today, the glassware. And we're just so thankful for the support. So I'm sure I'll have more to say along the way, but why don't we just get started?
Right. So what are we doing today? We are cooking a meal for the family. And we didn't send you exact instructions because cooking really comes from the heart if you want it to taste good. So we have ingredients just like at home. You open the fridge, you take the ingredients out, and you start cooking. It's always good to look up a recipe. I just go online and find a recipe there. I don't own any cookbooks because nowadays everything's online. So for our dinner today, we have a salad, which we're going to use kale for. We'll make a dressing as well, so it's going to be a kale salad with dressing and French dressing, right? And we have French nails today. No, but French dressing. And then we have a soup, right? So we're using butternut squash today. Why butternut squash? Because there's an ingredient. Because we love it so much. We cook it a lot. All right. So, and waffles. Okay, then next time.
It also might be easier to track the hashtag on here.
Okay. Wow. So the salad
Can track
and
our
the soup
tags
from butternut squash, and you make everything from scratch. How come you don't buy the dressing in the store?
That way.
Oh.
We can do nut oil.
we can really choose what goes in, and especially with farm product. Yeah, awesome, awesome. Okay, and so after the soup, if I'm not mistaken, we'll have chicken. And what are we going to do with it?
We're going to wrap the chicken in bacon.
Okay. And so it's like a crispy outside,
Yeah.
and that keeps the juice inside the breast
Right.
to preserve the flavors and to really make it tender, right? And then,
There's nothing wrong with bacon.
no. Well, I believe if somebody doesn't like bacon, they can just leave it out. There's some people that don't eat pork. Or also if somebody wants to put extra bacon, that's fine too. That's the whole point of cooking, right? Because we can make it just the way we want. All right, so bacon wrapped chicken breast. And is that organic or? It's organic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's much better. And then we have red cabbage. So that's a recipe I got from my mom. She's been making this since I was a kid. And when I asked her what it is, she said it's Renaissance cabbage. Like, oh, it's that old. So it's been around. It's a very old recipe. And I'm from Austria, so we use lingonberries. Lingonberries grow everywhere there in the Alps where I'm from. And so, you know, my mom always puts orange juice in there, lingonberries, cinnamon, like holiday things. There could be some star anise also. I've seen it with all kinds of different jams and preserves that are added into it. So we just chop it and then braise it in the top. And then we'll have potatoes as well. How are we going to cook those today?
Sort of like cottage fries, I think. Something that's fairly simple, but quick.
Awesome. I'm excited to see that. And then I see we have a carrot and the celery here. We're also making sauce, right?
Yep.
So, you know, sometimes people tell us that tomatoes are fruits. I personally don't put them in my fruit salad, but it comes from the sugar content. So some vegetables have sugar just like onions do and tomatoes. So with tomato paste, if we caramelize that or roast it in other words in oil, then the sugars in the tomato caramelize and make our sauce brown. And they change the whole composition of the tomato when we roast it. So that's how we make the brown sauce. And we'll be chopping in onion, celery, carrots. We usually say root vegetables. Should there be any green beans in the sauce? Probably not. But carrots, celery, onions, leeks give our sauce a good flavor. And then we're going to also make a dessert, which is, what is it called? Apple Strudel, right? It's like a German word. Okay, so we're going to use two different kinds of apples, and I think there's also cinnamon, like holiday stuff. And what is the dough? How is that? Exactly. So the dough, very fun. So the dough sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. The strudel dough is a filo dough. It originally comes from Persia, and then made it to Austria through Egypt and Turkey. And I think in the 16th century, they brought filo dough to us. So yeah, thank you for making that dessert today. I know you never did it before, but that's why we're here today, right? So that's 4 courses, correct? Did I forget something? No. Sometimes we can just come up with something last minute, and now we end up starting making a 5th dish. Let's see if we have time. I also brought some cheese I made. It's over there. I can bring that, show it to you. So we can snack with this cheese, as we go. It's not something that's for sale. It's only sharing with friends. But here I made the camembert cheese from raw goat milk. And we have some crackers here. So, as we go, we can snack a little bit on this. And, stay hydrated. We have 2 rules. Rule number 1 is to have fun, and the second rule is the same as rule number 1. So let's get started. Everybody to your food. If at home you have your ingredients out already, that's good. You see, we just put our chicken there, so we have it ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we have 2, 4, 5, 6 chicken breasts, and then we put one back in the fridge, right? So we'll have one extra just in case. Yeah, and then you can take all your ingredients out. So we have our onions, garlic, we have some lemons. Here we have something very interesting that I fell in love with first sight. It's the pink peppercorn tree that I saw outside. That's how I met everyone here, was under a pink peppercorn tree. Isn't that romantic? So we're going to use the pink peppercorn apple jelly today to add a little bit to our red cabbage. And we're also going to taste some of the cheese here, right? Okay, red cabbage, potatoes. So we have our orange juice, tomato paste, salt, cinnamon, some brown sugar, pepper. Okay, then let's see what we have over there. You can follow us right there. You can see we have our kale here on this beautiful plate from the glass. And then our butternut squash. You should have received the same things in the package. Here we have some vegetable stock. And again, we use pink Himalayan sea salt today. Feel free to use any other salt. I personally don't use iodized salt. Then we have some Dijon mustard for the dressing. Then we have vinegar, oil. We need some garlic for the dressing as well. And then we have an egg as well that goes into the dressing. And yeah, soup and salad, that's pretty much it for that. And if you follow us over here, you guys are going to make the apple strudel. So you see we have these 2 kinds of apples. What are the names again?
Galas and chickens.
Galas and pecans.
Pickens.
Pecans. That's easy to remember. We pick these because they're pecans.
Pickens came from New York State originally, and they were planted all over the Colorado Valley in the 1850s. And they are a really good juicing apple, and they are the famous flavor of Martin Hoellrigl. Every bottle of Martin Hoellrigl apple juice has a 50% Pippin juice in it. And they're the most tart apple, really, or the best baking apple we have here. We don't have a lot of Granny Smiths on the West Coast.
So yeah, that sounds really good. I ate one of these apples earlier, and I immediately started smiling. So it's probably going to work on you as well. And then we have flour and an egg, So we're going to have our dough that we're going to make out of 2 cups. You need a cup measure to measure the flour. So we'll have 2 cups of flour and egg. And you see we have some oil, some vegetable oil that goes in there. And we'll be showing you how much and what kind of consistency we need. But roughly, the recipe is 2 tablespoons of oil, an egg, and 2 cups of flour. All right, so let's get started. Everybody can get started with our exercise by the, let's say, preparation steps. If you already have the cutting board and the knife, you're almost done. No. But it's very important that you have, a setup, that you have the bowl ready to make the dough, for example. And you have already put the apples in, right? So if you put the apples out here, and then once they peel, we'll put the apples into this bowl, right? And then once they are in the bowl, we take them out one by one again, slice them, and then we have another bowl that we mix still to mix it around. So we have brown sugar. What else? Cinnamon. How much salt? Can I dessert? A pinch. Is that pinch? Yeah, it's time. What else? Almonds. We like almonds. You like almonds. But you can use hazelnuts or what else are there? Pineapple. Whatever you find in your cabinet, right?
Dressing
Is that good? Most, yeah. Raisins, you like that? Blah, let's not use them. I like them though. What are we going to do? Maybe we can put them on top after, on the side. When I go to the restaurant, I don't like something, I should say, put the raisins on the side. But if we bake it in the strudel, we can't take them out. So let's not use the raisins because you're not a big fan. Maybe you want to try and put like 3 raisins on the front with.
Hey Martin,
Yeah.
here's some questions about why they didn't receive recipes in advance and people who wish they did have the recipes in front of them. I'm going to address that.
Yeah, so, if we share the instructions and the recipes, you can do that any day at home. You can just go online, find a recipe, and cook the recipe. It's going to be all instructions. You can go on YouTube, and there's hundreds and hundreds of cooking instruction videos. So what we are here to do today is we want to inspire you to cook like from your heart and not so much focus on the recipe. The recipe is a guideline, but especially in pastry, we want to make sure in the end our consistency of the dough is right, that there's no juice coming out of the apple that makes it soggy or something like that. So please just go along with us without the recipe, because when you are at home and you cook any dish, you want to cook a special thing, and you look at the recipe and it says, for example, you need this kind of apple, but what if that's not available? What if your oven is a convection oven and not an oven that we have that's with gas? Could be an electric oven, so the temperature is always a little bit different as well. And that's the reason really why we didn't share it in advance. But the honest answer is we didn't want you to work at it. All right, are there any other questions?
Someone asked if she could start chopping.
Yes, please get started.
Okay, Angie, you can start chopping.
So you can start with peeling the apples. So maybe can I show you one? So with the apples, I like to start like this and kind of, you see how I'm turning the apple? And the peeler goes around, and I try not to break it because it's more fun. So you see I just go around and I peel it like this. If you don't feel like doing it like this, you don't have to. You can just also peel it like this, but maybe it's not so free. But feel free to do it the way that makes you feel most comfortable. So you see, now it's peeled. And so if we now cut this apple, then we will cut it like here, and then here, and again, and again. You see, so you don't need a fancy thing that removes the core. And then for this, you just hold the apple, and then with the knife, you go like this, and then you go a little bit faster. Another way is you can put the knife down and just go like this, you see? And then you do it a little bit faster, it's going to look like this. Then maybe you have a mandolin, which is a device that slices apples. You can use that as well. You can even use the peeler, and with the peeler, you can slice it with the peeler, see? There's many ways to do it. My favorite to cut apples the same way, you see they're all kind of thin, is really like this. Is that how you cut them? Excellent. Okay, so maybe you can give us that bowl now. You see, instead of doing this, you can just hold it down here. And you see like this, it's easier to get the apples into this bowl. Does that make sense? All right. So maybe you can get another peeler and you guys can peel them together. Does that sound good? So when you're done, we can just compose the peels. And then, for now, we just need our apples to be sliced like that. So maybe you can do the same thing at home. Yeah, let's peel all and cut all. So maybe one can peel, one can cut, or you can both peel and then cut. It's really up to you. Does that sound good? Awesome. Okay. Can I have a few more? Oh, wow, there's that. Okay.
Can I put it over?
Yeah.
For the folks who were looking for an ingredients list for each dish so that you could kind of get yourself organized, I shared a version of this through the handout in Demo, so you can access this list now.
Okay.
We have a question about the apples too.
Question about apples?
How many
now
and
we're
how
gonna
do we
see
cut
that.
them? How thin do we cut them? And how many?
A question with apples.
They're going to chop about 8 of them,
Yeah.
and they want to know how thin.
Oh, about 2 millimeters. That's 2/3 of an eighth of an inch. About this thick. Like, in a recipe, it would say thinly sliced. So, sometimes you have a machine to slice it, and it says how many millimeters or so, but I would say 2 millimeters is probably thinly sliced. If you cut them in 5 millimeters, it's fine too. If you dice them, it's still gonna work. If you put the whole apple, it's still gonna work. So it's really up to you, but the traditional way is to slice them thinly the way I showed you. Sound good? Okay, and what are we doing here? We're peeling the
I'm
pineapple.
peeling butter squash. You could use a knife,
Oh,
but I'm gonna try to peel it.
I want to try with you. Do we have our peeler?
This one's well.
Maybe I can just use this knife. Oh, it's very slippery, huh?
That's why,
Yeah. So, there's different ways to do it. It's probably not like the way I'm doing it. So I think that's probably the best way, right? But another way could be if I could borrow the cutting board from there. Team, you mind giving that to me for a minute? Yeah, we can use maybe a peeler like that.
take it.
Okay, maybe you can just put this here. So you see, I know you're peeling apples right now, and we're already doing the butternut squash. And look at the color. This is like all orange. See? Right? Because I removed more of the skin, it has layers. So first you have this hard shell, and then under the shell is still part of the skin, which is a little bit lighter. So you can cut this in half. I just cut it in half anywhere. You can cut it here, here, doesn't matter. Why? Because we're going to chop it and make it super. So, I like to, with bulky things like this, put my hand on top and hold. You see how I'm holding the knife? You can hold it like this or like this, but you want to hold the blade because you have more control if you hold the blade. I know that's good. We can do this works as well, but I feel safer if I do it like this. So now, if I hold it here, I might roll and so on. So I just put my hand on top. You see, just hammer it down. And then you can go all the way to kind of where the skin and you have all these seeds. So now we can take the seeds out, or we can blend it into the soup. I personally like to strain the soup because I like it to be super. But sometimes it's also nice to have little chunks. But give us more personality. Yeah. Look for the seeds. Okay, so you see all these seeds? We could actually roast them, dry them and roast them. And also sometimes we can bake bread, just throw them in our bread. So you see what I did with the spoon? If I take the second half, I can do the same thing. And you see it's just like pumpkin. I'm pretty sure some of you carved pumpkins this season. I didn't. I just left the pumpkin cold because I wanted to make soup out of it. And I did actually. So you see, now I got all the seeds out. Then I turn it, so now it's not round, right? This one's still round and kind of hard. So this is already kind of stable. But you see, I didn't use the peeler. So now I just kind of cut down. You see the difference? It's lighter because of the outside. So that's fine. So I like to cut a little bit more off than the peeler does. Just like this. Would it be wrong not to peel this at all? No. You can actually make a butternut squash soup without peeling it at all. And in that case, you just remove this. And I dare you to try not peeling it. It's actually not all that horrible. Okay. So now we go around like this. Okay. And you see, now I cut it in half again. And now it's easier for me to remove this. Because if it's whole and round, again, it's not so easy. So it always helps to have a flat surface on the bottom. So now, again, I cut it in half, see? And I stand it up like this, turn it around, and then I chop my squash into pieces. So now we put it into this plate, and we keep going and remove it. Okay, you did an amazing job with the peeler.
Yeah.
And you have one that goes like this, right?
Uh-huh.
This one is basically for pulling or pushing, is that right? I could also do it like this, But you see, I'm not very successful with this tool. I'm much better with this. So I'm just going to cut it off. So the recipe is going to say, peel your pumpkin with a potato peeler. Okay, but I'm using a knife anyway because I'm breaking the rules. Okay, so sometimes when we break the rules in the kitchen, we come up with a new dish that's actually exciting. So, you know, that doesn't restrict us all too much. That's why, again, it's not so great for me to follow the recipe blind. All right, good luck with all that peeling work.
Thank you.
You are doing an amazing job. I'm not concerned that that soup's going to be the best I've had in my life.
Right.
Okay, so while you're peeling this, let's go over here to the chicken team. Are you the chicken team?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So what do we have? Why did you get this organic chicken? Wouldn't the regular chicken be fine?
I believe that the more organic chicken was more healthy.
So, you know, organic kind of makes us trust it more. Because if it doesn't organic, then we don't know what's in it, right? But, you know, if we can buy it at the store, then it's probably not going to kill us either. But I also like to use an organic chicken because it's just my experience that it tastes better. It's softer, it's better. I'm not sure what it is. It's probably what they eat, and there's no chemicals or something like that. So here at the farm, most of the stuff I've seen is organic. So, Brent, you are going to wrap the chicken in bacon, is that right? Or who's going to do that? Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me get the cutting board. Can I take this in here? Okay, I'm going to throw this in the trash. The compost. Okay, and you see I always have a little towel to kind of wipe things down. So I'll put this here. Okay, and so now we have that chicken breast. And keep in mind that, you know, chicken has some kind of bacteria or virus, or what is it?
It's not like
Salmonella.
yeah, bacteria.
Is that a virus or a bacteria?
I believe it's bacteria.
Bacteria. So can we die from salmonella?
I don't think so. We can get very sick.
Yeah, I think it's not comfortable. So how can we prevent it? Yes, that's how we do it. What you mean is probably that we have to work clean, wash our hands, right?
Yes.
For viruses and bacteria. Are you a virologist? No. Bacteriologist? No. But you're a chicken chef, right? So we just keep it clean. So it means when we have the chicken touch a raw thing and then we eat the raw thing raw, then we can get the bacteria.
Yeah.
Okay, so this bacon is beautiful. Did you make this or buy?
I think the pig made it.
Oh, the pig made it.
Yeah.
Can we just pause for a second?
Sure.
Someone would love to see how the squash was cut. Lizzie, do you mind?
Okay, let's
filming
go
how
back to the squash.
And then, in general, people are feeling like it's a little fast.
Okay.
We only have, most people probably have 1 or 2 teams and not 3. So
Okay.
just take a minute and look how beautiful this cut squash is.
Okay, yeah, so
Awesome.
I just took out the seed of the one I cut and then seeded it and then put it down and just cut it like that.
I'm going to wash my hands in the meantime because I touched the chicken. And then we can maybe go back to the apples again and see where we're standing with the apples.
There we go. Oops, going into the soup, so I'm gonna rough cut them. The pressure. They don't
Nice
mind it.
skills on show.
I know, geez, I'm like, okay.
So you know, sometimes when we make a soup that's not mixed or blended,
Uh-huh.
then we have to pay much more attention to the shapes, right?
I think that's why I always like
Yeah.
smooth soup, making smooth soups because, yeah, I pay attention.
And I think in that case, we can
But
also
if
be
they're
more
about the same
creative.
size, then they'll cut it about the same, or they'll cook it the same
Exactly,
way, right?
exactly.
That's right, yeah. They're about the same size, which is what we want.
Yeah.
But you know, if you had like let's say a cream soup that's made out of vegetable stock, and you put a little bit of cornstarch with water to thicken it, or even a potato is a good way to thicken a soup.
Mhm.
When I make a cream soup, I just peel a potato, dice it with the other stuff,
Mhm.
and then that gives it, because the potato starch is going to thicken it.
Yeah, and I've
Right.
used arrowroot before as
So
well.
arrowroot,
Mhm.
rice flour,
Mhm.
what else?
Well, like I
Cornstarch.
said, potato starch and cornstarch, yeah.
Yeah, right? So the starch makes the soup thick. And it's also a good thing to have for people that are gluten-free,
Mhm.
right? Because in the olden days, we just put flour into everything. I remember when I went to culinary school, we made a roux, which is a lot of butter, a lot of flour. So, you know, I think now we can just be a little bit more conscious about our diet, you know, eat healthy, organic. We don't have to use all that much gluten, right? Or if somebody's intolerant, not at all.
Mhm.
That's why, to play it safe, if you maybe peel a potato and throw it in with it, I think that would give it a little bit of more extra structure. Did that answer our question?
Do you mind if we pause the show for a second? And I
Not
give
at
a
all.
little speech? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to give you guys all a little time to finish your chopping and tell you a little bit about what's been going on here at Farm Discovery. Back in March, if anyone can remember that far back, we had the most fully booked field trip season and farm immersion season we've ever had in our 12 years. We had over 1,000 kids ready to come to the farm, and we're really feeling good about that being a testament to the quality of our programming and the years of dedication to building these programs. And obviously things changed quite a bit on March 17th or so. Since then, I've just been blown away over and over again by this staff. We are a team of 4 and a board of 10. And with their amazing and tireless dedication, we have remained ready, we've been resilient, we've been flexible, and we've really stayed inspired by the immense need in this community and our ability to react to that. In the first week of April, we started a program to distribute excess produce from Live Earth Farm, and we hope to build that to include other farms as well. Just this week, we donated 1,300 pounds of produce to Loaves and Fishes. We heard from Loaves and Fishes that really early in April, basically, that they had lost access to fresh produce because of the logistics of staying healthy in COVID times. They normally would shop like at Second Harvest Food Bank and just couldn't go in the coolers so that they didn't spread sickness. And they also at the same time had a doubling and tripling of their clientele. So we were able to jump in and fill that need only because our staff wanted to keep working and wanted to keep helping this community. And Live Earth Farm was so generous to make that produce available. And that program just keeps growing, and we're so proud of it. And it involves several volunteers, people who are not afraid to come out of their homes, who wear masks and wear gloves and help us pack the produce and get it to 4 to 5, depending on what's happening, different food pantry and meal programs all around the county. Gosh, I could go on for a long time. Maybe I'll break this up into smaller bits, but the next phase was our summer care program. We normally have a camp for about 36 kids and 6 teenagers, and they're week-long camps. And we quickly figured out, as the rules were changing, how to shift that program to give kids a chance to be together on the farm, outdoors, in a safe way. We had small, stable groups for 4 weeks at a time. We could only have 24 kids total in 2 separate groups. And for a lot of those kids, it was the first time they'd been with any peers. And so we just kept hearing over and over how happy they were to be playing with each other. That's really all they needed. And we even had one kiddo who just kept saying, "I'm just so happy to have friends." And he said it like 5 times a day. I'm looking over at Olivia because she told me that story. It just melted my heart. I'm going to pause and we can look back at the cooking. But when I speak again, I'll tell you about what happened during the fires, how summer care changed in the fall, and the new virtual field trips that we're getting started. Before we finish up this little segment, I'm going to have Olivia play a video of the kids during fall care talking about their program and why they like being on the farm.
What I like about farm camp is I guess there's this big, it has so many different places, like the apple farm up there, and there's these 2 chicken places. Like here.
Okay.
I mean,
So we're done with the.
this is actually the place where I first picked up my first chicken. Like this dude. Hey, this is my 7th time picking up a chicken.
Good point.
So this is not an air like that.
Okay, where's our pot?
And then I also like climbing the trees. Usually doing all the art projects and I like this farm camp because I get chickens and I get cow here. Second, I'm giving the horses the carrots. Oh, I'm also mostly doing stuff with the animals. And also I love art.
Maybe I'll get the people.
And I love the redwood forest, and I love the chickens and the pigs. I like the goats, the cow, and the pig. I like the chickens and the cow and the pig. And the goats. And I love vegetables. And I also like harvesting. I like that this is a giant place. Just climbing trees. Climbing trees is my favorite thing. Bye!
Oh, you can't hear me. Okay, I was just doing this. I was actually silently miming. Apologies for any trouble with the video. I know at least one person, it was looping for them, and for someone else, the sound wasn't great. We will share that with you again as well. Those kiddos are so freaking cute, especially with those carrots in their hands, like chomping on and while they're talking. We'll share that so you guys can see it again, and now we'll show you what to do with the chicken, now that you've had time to catch up, right?
Awesome. So, yeah, the chicken is waiting for us to be wrapped with holiday paper. Or what is it called? Gift wrapping.
Bacon, right?
Bacon, yeah. So before we do that, have a look at our pumpkin here. What is it? Butternut squash?
Butternut squash, yep.
So should I put this in the pot already?
Let's do it. Ready.
Okay. So I can help you. You see, I sometimes just hold it like this. So it all goes right in.
There we go.
Perfect. And so you can cover it with the chicken stock or the vegetable stock. We're using vegetable stock.
Okay.
And you basically just cover it there.
Can I use all this?
If you have to.
I think I do. Yep.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah, you can put it
I think I'm
all
gonna
in.
do. Yep.
Sounds good. Okay. So you see it's all covered.
Smells good.
And then we just make sure it's all in there. Okay. So this also gets cream, right? So let's open the cream. And we put some cream in there. So, you know, depending on your lifestyle, I like to put more cream. You see, I can't stop. But, you know, sometimes you can leave the cream out completely. Or you can use like vegan cream, like milk, rice milk, almond milk, stuff like that to make it vegan. Vegetable stock, right?
Yeah, coconut milk.
Yeah. So you guys are not vegan, so we're using vegetable stock still, but we're also adding this heavy cream. Right? To give it some flavor already, maybe even more. Put just not enough yet. Yeah, you put three pinches,
yeah.
and you see some measure the salt by a teaspoon or tablespoon. Most recipes are going to say put 1 teaspoon of salt. But what kind of salt? You see, this is very coarse.
Yeah, it's like a pink Himalayan
Yeah,
salt.
and Himalayan salt doesn't have the same.
Well, the reason why you want it is
Strength.
the minerals. Yeah.
Yeah.
The minerals where it's actually beneficial.
Healthy minerals. But the saltiness of it is much less than iodized salt.
Yeah.
Right? Also, sea salt will be seasoning less than iodized salt. So it really depends what you use. I like to put the salt in my hand so I can see how much. And over time, I get a good feel with experience how much. So for me, if you look at how much salt I have here, and you already put 3 pinches, so I would say you probably can put all this salt in there. Oh my God. Oh no. Now what?
Right.
So it's kind of risky, right?
It's, yeah.
So we want to put salt, but not too much. If it was too much, we have to use more stock to thin it up. Okay, so now we can stir it around and let that salt dissolve. And it's always a good idea to taste stuff as you go, because the taste is almost as important as the looks. So we have put the salt in there. Did we put any other seasoning?
No.
Okay. And so this butternut squash, is that a little bit salty or sweet, or what is it?
Savory. So I don't.
Savory?
Yeah, the salt will bring it out more flavor.
Okay. So maybe we can put a little bit of
Oh,
freshness, like some acidity. Lemon juice, maybe. Should we put a little bit of lemon?
I think that's, yeah.
Okay, why don't we get a lemon? All right. I like to cut it irregular, not in the middle. Why? Because the seeds stay in here. I worry about that later. And here I have no seeds. So, you know, I can just squeeze it like this, knowing no seeds will go in. So not too much, because it could curdle, right? Yeah. So just a little bit for flavor. What about maybe some of this? I can't say what this is because we have children on the team, but it's made from grapes. So we put this fermented grape juice in there a little bit, and this is called Chardonnay grapes. And so that will give it some additional flavor. What about honey?
Oh, that, yeah.
Do you like honey?
I do. I love honey.
Why don't we put some of that?
Okay.
Where is
Who
the
has
honey?
Take it. You have honey.
Oh,
Oh, that's the. Oh, you guys have honey.
honey, give me the honey.
I know. Oh, let me see the taste thing.
All right. So what kind of honey is that? There's all kinds
So
of
this is
acacia honey. Or,
Local hive honey.
okay, then you can't go wrong with
Right.
it's local. All right. Awesome. So then we pour some onto here or we squeeze it. Do we want a lot of honey? You can just pour it in there because you love it, right?
I do, but I
Oh, let's be careful. Oh, so here we can see how much he's putting. So you
That's like
see,
a
that's a teaspoon.
Yeah.
And so can we put more later,
Yeah, I'll do it after.
right? So later, before we finish the soup, we can decide if we need more salt and more pepper. Oh, pepper, we didn't put any pepper.
Yeah, who's got the pepper?
I think it's right there. So now, feel free to put anything into that soup that will probably taste good. How do you know what tastes good? It comes with experience a little bit. But to inspire you, just go online and look at recipes, follow cooking shows. We can put that on here now, right? So you can turn that on and bring it to a boil.
Okay.
And then we'll simmer this mixture for about 10 minutes. Again, it depends on what kind of kitchenware you use. It could be 8
Martin,
minutes.
can you
or-
list the ingredients that went into that pot again for folks?
Yes. So what we have in this pot right now is the diced butternut squash. Then we have, so we used both whole butternut squash. That's about 2 pounds of butternut squash. Then we had 1 quart of vegetable stock. And then we had a splash or about 2 ounces of white wine. Then we had cream. So how much is missing here? About half the container. So this is 1 pint. So it's half a pint or half a container of cream or a cup of cream. Then we had lemon juice from 1/3 of a lemon, but not all. So it was about a teaspoon. That's not a lot, right? We had a pinch of salt and then another and another. So let's say it's probably 2 teaspoons. What's more, 2 teaspoons or a tablespoon? Okay. So what really helps is this tool here. Very important. I love spoons because they tell me so much. So, oh my God, that's so good. I'm blown away by this flavor. It's not even cooked yet.
Wow, that is good.
The honey really
Yeah,
does
it's
it,
really
right?
good, yeah.
So we were at salt, and then we also put some honey. And because it's almost the holidays, we could use spices. We could use nutmeg.
Oh, that'd be good.
That would be nice. What also goes well with butternut squash in the season would be cinnamon. I know it's not we're not an Indian restaurant,
Very
but I love cinnamon.
Ginger, I love ginger.
So this here is cinnamon bark. Cinnamon is really grown, it's a tree, and this is the bark of the tree. So that's why, it rolls up like that. And so, we can just take a piece like this because it's very strong. So if it's only like this much cinnamon bark that we put in there, it's just not enough to make it taste like cinnamon. Because we're not making it butternut squash cinnamon soup. If we did, then we will probably put much more. So we'll only put this much to flavor it, to season it. So, but when you blend it, how are you going to find that one piece?
I probably strain. I don't know. I have to look.
You strain it? How?
Well,
Oh my God. So maybe we take it out and use the powdered cinnamon, because that would make it much easier. Is that
well,
right?
yeah, it'd be easier, but I will find it.
She will find
I
it.
will find it.
That's why I put it in there, because I believe in it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that was the soup. If there's any more questions, please ask. So should we go to the chicken now? Are you good with that?
Go to chicken.
So maybe, before we go to the chicken again, why don't we start cleaning this by the time we're done here? At home, you don't have to start with this yet, but to give you a heads up, we have this kale. I personally am not a kale fan, but I eat it because I eat everything that's good. Okay? It's good, but you know, sometimes I like to eat kale only once a month. So we can take the stem out, and sometimes we don't know if this is hard or soft, but if I break it like this, it appears to be pretty soft and not stringy. You see? I can break it pretty easy, but now it's kind of stringy a little bit, but I'm still not sure. So I'm just going to eat it. Yeah, they're not too stringy. But to make the salad nice, maybe we can just remove these stems, right? And then, you know, you could also put these stems into your soup, but it's going to change the color. But maybe it's going to taste better if you have at least one. Should we put this one in the soup? Because why not?
Why not?
It's the weekend. So
Great.
you can remove the stems in the meantime, and we'll go over there and wrap that chicken in bacon. Okay, have fun with this.
Sounds good.
Okay, bacon team, are you ready? Oh, you already made one. Look at that. They already wrapped one chicken breast. Well done. I hope I'm going to get one of your Christmas presents or holiday presents. So now, let's put the bacon like this and show the people at home how this can work. So if we put the chicken breast here, you see it's kind of small compared to the amount of bacon. So let's just use a thicker one. Let's see. This here is bigger in comparison. You see, this is just a bigger chicken breast. So the way they put it out, I would say this fits better to this wrapping here. So we go like this, and like this, and like this. So you see, so this side is closed, right? Or covered. And then over here we do the same thing. We kind of cover the ends first, just like that. And then from this side, you go around and just kind of close it up so you can't see the chicken breast anymore. And then we just basically go like this and wrap it around. And let's see if mine is just as nice as theirs. I think theirs is much nicer than mine, but I tried. So maybe you can make the other two chicken breasts as well. So you have decided that you only make 4 chicken breasts today, okay? Right? Because one chicken breast that's so big is probably enough for 2 people, correct? Especially if we're eating 4 courses. So if you don't finish all the chicken tonight for the dinner, it's still going to be good tomorrow, you know, after you slice it. So, yeah, you see, we don't need any oil in the pan. We're just going to wrap the chicken in bacon, put it into the pan, and then it goes into the oven. So that takes us to temperatures and cooking stuff in the oven. So depending on what kind of oven you have, the cooking time for the chicken can vary, especially when the chicken breasts are different. You saw this small one will probably cook in 10 minutes, while the larger one might take 15 minutes. So putting them in the same pan is not a problem, but please be aware that the smaller one will be more cooked than the larger one. But we'll talk about that later. For now, really just wrap up the chicken, put it in the pan, and have your oven preheated. If it's not on yet, if your oven is not turned on yet, that's perfect. You can turn it on right now. how many degrees? Let's turn it to 350 Fahrenheit. Okay. Wow, look at that. They're doing an amazing job with that chicken breast. Very nice. I'm going to wash my hands now because, of course, I touched the chicken.
All right, we have one more question about the soup. Were there any garlic or onions in that soup?
No.
No.
So if you want to put garlic in it, then, you know, it's going to change the flavor minimally, not much. I'm a big fan of garlic, but, you know, not everyone is. I know garlic is healthy. I eat a lot of it. And are we going to put garlic in the red cabbage or on the potatoes?
Maybe in the potatoes.
Maybe on the potatoes, right?
Yeah.
In the sauce, maybe a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. And should we put some garlic in the soup now after all? Sheila?
I'm liking the flavor. I think it doesn't need it.
No garlic for you? Okay. So our soup will be without garlic today. Even though the recipe says put garlic in. Right? Okay. So this garlic here is from the farm. The onions, all this stuff is from the farm anyway. I shouldn't touch stuff before I wash my hands. I will get this out of the way, and then I will take everything that had chicken on it, and also ask you, gentlemen, to wash your hands, right? So we'll take this to the sink, and we wash the cutting boards with hot water and soap, and then we rinse it with hot water. And sometimes it's good to give your cutting board 20 seconds of hot water to kill any bacteria that might be on there. Why? Because these cutting boards will be used for other things, not only for chicken. At a restaurant, we have a yellow cutting board for chicken, a red cutting board for meat, a blue cutting board for seafood and fish, and a green cutting board for vegetables. But at home, it's just going to be the cutting board. So yeah, they are washing it right now. I am going to wash this and recycle it.
And maybe I'll jump in while people are finishing. I'll jump back in and while people are still working on that bacon. I know it's not that easy for everybody. So let me chat for a minute about more that happened on Park Discovery over this past 7 months. We had in August that amazing lightning storm that at first looked really cool and then turned into quite a disaster. I honestly grew up on the East Coast where we get to just enjoy lightning storms because it's wet enough that they don't cause fires there. And I used to watch out my window, and it wasn't until working here at Liebert Farm that I really understood what it could do on the West Coast. We had a solstice event about 8 years ago, where we watched fires out on the hills just get started. Lightning strikes in June, starting little fires on the hills right in our view shed. And so my experience of those lightning storms in August was a little bit of fear. And unfortunately, what came to pass, we had friends and former staff and board members and family members all being evacuated. We were packing our own go bags. I think the sound is probably pretty bad with the sink, so I'm going to pull us out here. This was my view during this event. Is it still like in the flight? Okay, so I was worried about that sink noise. Hopefully you guys can hear me. My own family packed go bags. My mother was evacuated. Our staff welcomed people and pets. We found and built extra shelters for chickens. We got ready for extra goat flocks. We even had some former board members come stay with us. And without hesitation, the staff here did everything they could to support these people and animals, stocking up on feed, extra feedings, extra waterings, and they acted so quickly. And I'm just, again, so proud of the way that we've been able to step up for our community over and over again. This staff just keeps acting with compassion and without reservation. And even in times when there is some uncertainty for us and our own organization and jobs, I think that one of the best ways to handle those feelings of anxiety and just unknowing is to jump in over and over again and do what you can. And these guys have done that over and over. So again, summer camp was an example of that, our summer care program. I asked the board, every day something was changing with COVID, whether we would need to wear masks, how many kids we could have, whether we could open up at all. And I asked the board, we always have a commitment to scholarships, but with the smaller numbers, we're not going to cover our costs. What do you think? Should we still just offer scholarships? We think that's really important. We've always been committed to it. And without hesitation, the board said, absolutely, we will worry about covering our costs later. Offer the scholarship spots. Make sure kids who need to be here can be here. And we had children of all types of essential workers in that program. And we're just so happy to be able to serve them and give them a place to be safe and outdoors and together. And that's what we organized our fall care program around. We basically modeled our summer program, knowing that as soon as we were sure kids were not going to be going back to school, it's a little different because they're distance learning. So we spend the morning in our small pod at various Zoom meetings and doing all the asynchronous learning. And then most of the afternoon out playing on the farm, picking fruits and vegetables, cooking, and doing arts and crafts. We actually have a beautiful video from a mom of a farm care kiddo that we can show you in a little while. I'm trying to decide if I should keep going. Okay. Yes. So all along, we've made the farm available to families as a safe place to wander, explore, pick and play, pet our animals. Other programs like farm walks and virtual field trips are continuing to make access to our programs available during these wild times. And we might still be facing a lot of uncertainty. When I wrote this, we were facing even more. And we may feel the strain of these times personally and as an organization and as a staff and as a board. But we really do find comfort in the ability to do something, to do everything that we can for this community. And so thank you for being part of that community. And let's get back to cooking.
All right, they're back. Okay, we haven't done much. We have just talked about the holidays and all that stuff. But so while we were chatting, Sheila cut the kale already. And I said, why did you cut it like that? And she said, what did you say?
Did I really say or what?
What did you really
But
say?
I said, I don't know, but I think this is how I usually cut kale.
Okay.
I usually pull it, and then,
Yeah.
just rough cut.
Yeah. So because you cut it like this and I cut it different, I just want to show other ways to cut it. Because, I'm not a huge kale person. So I just take my kale like this, you see, and then I cut it very small. See, like this. And this could be a different experience when you eat your salad, right? If it's all fine.
I think that would be better. Yeah.
I think yours is better
Really?
because you're going to eat this and I won't.
Okay.
Okay, so now at home, you probably haven't cut your kale yet, but after you cut it or chopped it, or what else could you do with this? Grate it? No.
I don't think
Chop it
grate it.
or cut and slice
chop or
it.
cut, yeah.
It's probably, right? What about a smoothie?
Yeah, you could use
I
it.
like it as a
You could
smoothie.
do it using a smoothie, but again, you don't want to do too much of it because
Okay.
it has, you could do, it has.
It's loaded with fiber.
Yeah, there's oxalates in it,
Vitamins,
which are harder for some people to completely digest.
Digest.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I really like what it looks like.
Mhm.
And then are you going to put that in which bowl are you putting it? You have like two here.
Right,
Maybe that one.
I believe this one.
Yeah, right? Because this is going to be for the soup, is that
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So at home, I think this had the kale before, so you see there's a little bit of water. So, you know, I just use this, and because I don't have to sweep the floor, I'm just going to put it on the floor. It goes into my towel. Okay, so now we have a clean
Yep.
bowl, and then we can place our lettuce.
Oh,
in
that
it.
does look pretty. Look at that.
Okay, and now I see you have basil here as well.
Yeah.
So on the basil,
Some people have parsley.
okay, parsley. Okay, so you see, when we're done with the step, what I like to do is always clean up my stuff after I'm done with the step. So to make it fast, I really take this to the sink, and then the what's it called, the mixer on the sink, the aerator, garbage disposal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really just a mixer that makes it small, right? Okay, but you have another mixer, right? You have this mixer.
Blender. Yep.
Blender, okay. And there's another blender. So we have two blenders. And at home you probably only have one. I only have one blender. But this is for the dressing, right?
Okay.
Okay. And then the basil, back to the basil or the parsley. So when the soup is done, which by the way is almost boiling, right?
Yeah, almost, exactly.
So once it comes to a boil, which means it looks like it's making bubbles, right? You can see the steam. And what kind of heat do we have here?
Medium.
Medium. So, you know, because this is simmering in the background, we want to make sure that when you put your spoon in here, you can feel even through the spoon how soft this is. And I can feel it's not cooked yet. And also I know it's not cooked yet. It takes about 10 minutes. But you know, feel free to take a piece out and eat it and see if it's soft. What we need to have here is that it's cooked through, because in the blender it will go much easier. And you can't overcook it. If you simmer this for half an hour or even overnight, just make sure the liquid doesn't go away, because the liquid is what helps us make a smooth soup. Did you put a potato in it to make
I did
it?
not.
No. Okay. So for those of you that didn't put a potato in there, we will check the consistency later after we put it in the blender,
Sounds good.
right? To see if that's the consistency you want. I like my soup to be rather thin. To me, it tastes fresher or lighter than a very thick soup. But when it comes to butternut squash, I want it to be hearty, kind of a mouthful, you know, like thicker. But that's really up to you how you like it. And how do you make it thinner is by adding more wine or stock or cream, any liquid.
Water.
Or water. Water is the least I would use because it really has no flavor, but yes, we all cook with water. And if you want it to be thicker, you can add more, like a potato or more squash even, to make it thicker. Okay.
A question about the green stuff in the soup.
Yeah. So we were earlier when we did the kale, we threw this in there like almost by accident to give it more flavor. It's not going to do very much, but what I want to explain with by throwing this in there, that you can do anything you like. You can put some parsley sprigs in there. You can use thyme or any other herbs. You can even put a whole leaf of kale in there. It's really up to you how you season your butternut squash soup. For me, an important rule could be not to put too many ingredients into something, because it becomes more complicated. So yeah, we have how many ingredients in here? I think 5 or 6. Does it answer the question? It's really some of this here went in the soup. Of course, we could also put a carrot in there fine to give it extra color, extra flavor. Okay.
Martin, someone just asked if the potatoes and onions are going to go in with the chicken into the oven. Maybe they're planning on how big of a pan they need or something.
Okay, so now let's...
And celery, they asked about celery.
Okay, so let's look at this first. So some of you will have parsley, some of you have basil, some of you have other herbs. So when it comes to basil, it's a good idea to take the larger leaves. And why are you using basil?
Because it's the great flavor.
Oh, is that your choice? Because
It's my choice, yeah, because it tastes really good.
Okay, so now you see I take...
So Lucy and I harvested this basil together on Thursday. When we got down to pack the boxes for the event, we had the parsley was like didn't look nice anymore. It was just at least one day too old to send out. So we drove over to the basil field and we found scissors in my car and a pocket knife, and we sanitized them with baby wipes and hand sanitizer. And we got into the field and we harvested about 20 bunches of kale for you guys and for this box here. So
Okay.
it's with love.
Yes.
So that's very special basil then, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you see, I put the largest leaf on the bottom, and then I just kind of lay them on top of each other. And you see now, I kind of roll this up like this. Then with my knife, and I'm not sure if you can see it. Oops. So you see, I put the tip down again, and then I do it like this. So it's important that you have a knife, that goes all the way down. You see it? But sometimes a knife has a different shape. So with this said, you can now cut the basil into something that's called julienne. Okay, so now by cutting the basil thin like this, we'll have some extra leaves, some is chopped, and we also have saved the tiny ones. You see? Why did we save the tiny ones? Because we're going to decorate the soup later with these tiny basil leaves. That looks pretty. And then because you love basil so much, we'll put the basil on top of the kale, which gives the kale some sort of additional flavor. Okay. And then the dressing and all that we'll do in a minute, right? I think if everybody is almost ready with the soup here, and let that simmer. And now it came to a boil, right? Mm-hmm. And now we just let it simmer. And you can turn down the flame a little bit, so it's kind of just bubbling there in the middle. Good. All right. So while this is cooking, we can maybe all go over there and answer that question. So you see what it is now? They wrap chicken beautifully, and now we can put this in the oven. So it's a cold pan, and you want to make sure you don't have a plastic handle or a lid with a plastic top or something like that, or a Teflon pan. It's probably not. So it should be all metal if you put it in the oven, because a plastic handle with the heat will create some fumes that you don't want. Okay, so now we're just going to put this in the oven. You know, you can put it up here, or you can put it down here. In either case, if you put it up here, it's very close to up here. Right? So after a while, we need to put down here. It's also a good idea if you can change the shelves to put your shelf in the middle to cook it. So later we're going to also bake our oven. So for now, I'm just going to put it in the bottom. You see, and it's at 380 degrees. And now we're just going to let it in there for about, let's say, 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, we'll check again. So maybe someone can set their timer because the recipe says half an hour. for the chicken to be in. But again, it depends on the size of the chicken breast. How long has the oven been preheated and many others? Okay, so after 20 minutes, we'll check if the chicken's cooked or not. And then we're going to share how you can make sure your chicken is cooked through before you cut. Okay, now should we go back to our main course and look at our potatoes and our other thing. So, Brent wanted potatoes. Are you a kind of potato guy or?
Yeah, I love potatoes.
Okay. I grew up with potatoes too. And then people in the Midwest, I think, eat more potatoes than maybe Californians because we are influenced by Asia and so on. How does that work?
I never even thought about it.
Okay. Yeah. So now these potatoes are all like in a different shape, right? So we can do the same thing again. What I do with my potatoes is in summertime or in spring, I remove, you see these pieces here? Because that's where the new potatoes come out. So I put this in the soil and then I grow my own potatoes at home. But if you have a farm like this, you can get them here or also at the market and so on, right? I just personally like to grow my own potatoes because it's so easy. So I cut this off. So when I peel my potatoes, I cut the end off and another one, and then I stand it up. And you see now, I just go around and I peel my potato like this. Is this very economic? Maybe not. We do this like this at the restaurant sometimes to save time.
Can I use this?
Yes, that's much better, right? So you see, I removed pretty much all the skin. I get it all off. Okay, so now, because they have starch, if we just leave them here, they're going to turn brown. So we'll find a little bowl. Maybe we can use this beautiful plate here and put the potatoes in. And they should be covered in water, right? So maybe, Brent, you can fill it up. Fill up the bowl with water about to here. So when they're in there, they're covered in water. Okay, and you're doing a great job with this. Is that a popular thing, peeling potatoes?
Yes.
Yeah, you like doing it?
Pretty fun and it's easy.
No way. What kind of teenager are you?
I don't know.
You're the first teenager that likes peeling potatoes.
Well, it means that I'm going to be able to eat potatoes later.
Oh yeah,
I like potatoes.
That's definitely a great reason. When I ask my teenagers to peel the potatoes, they always want to do something else that's more challenging or something like that. I don't mind it. So, you know, once you are done with the peeling with the peeler, and there's still a little bit of those eyes or something that's not clean, we can remove it with the knife. Okay, so Brad's coming back with the potatoes now. It's the optimal way to make sure the potatoes are in water so they don't turn brown. And then, how do you cut those potatoes? You said you're making potato fries?
Yeah, I kind of like to just cut them in half so that I've got that nice edge to kind of work with. And then I just come in and keep them nice and thin. Maybe the last one is not quite as easy. Something like that. Almost like a scallop potato, so don't get yourself.
Oh. Next time I'm cooking for someone, I'm going to tell them I'm going to make Brent's potatoes for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great idea. And now what's next?
Well, it depends on what you want to do, but I think these are thin enough that we can cook them.
Okay.
Pretty ready to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just put those back in here.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't turn brown.
Yeah.
And could we peel the potatoes before, like yesterday, and put them in the fridge? Yes, why not? But just make sure they're covered in water so no air can get to them and turn them brown. Is that enough potatoes for the 5 of you?
No, we'll probably have to do all these potatoes.
All of them?
We got big potato eaters.
Do some for me too.
Oh, yeah. You'll eat the rest, yeah?
You eat potatoes for 8.
Okay. And so even if there's more potatoes that we can't even eat, we can always throw them in another soup tomorrow, right? To give and give the soup of tomorrow the flavor of after tomorrow. Okay, so potatoes are peeling, and then maybe while you're doing this and finishing up the potatoes, maybe you can already start with the red cabbage. So how I do this is, if I can borrow your knife. Yep. So we have 2 tiny cabbage heads. Sometimes you go to the store, they're like this big, correct? Yeah. So I love these small ones from the farm. So you see, I don't cut straight down the middle. I cut a little bit on the side. Why? Because I don't have any of this on this side. And then on that side, I'm going to just go like this. And that removes this part. But I didn't quite get it. So I'll do another one. Yeah. So you see, you just remove that. And now, to make it easy, I just get this kind of off the head, just like this, and break it down. Manageable pieces. And then, again, just slice the cabbage into thin stripes. Again, you can cook the whole leaf. You can basically make it from this without cutting it, which sometimes I do. But it's nicer and finer. It looks better. It cooks faster if you chop it up like that. Does that make sense, Brent? Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Martin, we had a question about the potatoes. Is that water you put them in cold or warm?
It's cool.
Cool water.
It's not ice cold. It's just how it comes out of the sink. I wouldn't put it in out of the faucet. I wouldn't put it in warm water. No. So cold answer. Cold water is the answer. Okay. So once we have that chopped, we can put that in a plate or a bowl, and then you can remove those peels when you're done, right? And throw them in the compost. And then these, remember, we'll put them in the water.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Show their color.
Yep. Good.
And you want to use this whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess we can do all this cabbage.
So Martin, we polled the people to find out how many of them got small cabbages and how many of them got big cabbages.
Okay.
What was the answer?
4 small, 2 large so far.
So we had 2/3 of the folks who are attending got big ones, right?
That big one. Yeah.
67% big
Oh.
ones. We're so in the polls right now. Oh, it's changing. It's a live poll.
How exciting.
We got another answer. Change our percentage.
What I love about it is that
Small.
75% small.
Oh, 75% of the folks got small cabbages.
some got small ones, some got big ones. In the end, they're all good.
We're all gonna taste
Because they're
the
going to
same.
look like the same, right?
Let me-
Okay. And then with the rest, with these pieces, we just throw those out.
We compost them because we're good environmentalists.
Exactly. Okay. So I think we're done with the bacon, right? This is not needed anymore. Let's put it in the fridge and kind of remove all the stuff we don't need. And then maybe you could already cut the potatoes the way that we did, just to finish that up. Okay. And while you guys are cutting the potatoes and chopping the red cabbage, I want to go over and look at our apple strudel.
You want about
Well,
twice as much of that?
yeah, we can just do the whole thing, because why not? If we have extra, we can just put it in the freezer and eat it on a rainy day, or in the fridge and eat it sooner. But it holds up pretty well in the fridge for about, I would say, a week after you cook it. But let's go over to the apple strudel now.
Martin, before we do go to the strudel, I would love to introduce another video that we had made.
All right, sounds good.
So our good friend Joe Foster, hi Joe, hi Liz, hi Sarah, hi baby Joe. We have crossed paths multiple times in Santa Cruz and in multiple ways. We used to find each other at a Tuesday night dollar slices, and became fast friends, and now he works in public affairs for a local healthcare organization. And his daughter Sarah has come out to the farm for a couple of our programs. And Sarah and Joe visited us this week to tell us a little bit about what farm discovery has meant to them. So we're going to give sharing a video with you guys another try. I hope you enjoy.
Mute the mic, please.
I just like the animals because there's a lot about them, and they do a lot of stuff, and I'm interested in animals.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun to have relationships with the animals and the community here at the farm, right? Yeah. So it's great to be here at Live Earth Farm today and having Sarah with me. And we spent a lot of time here this summer and last summer and over the years coming to different events. And especially on a day like this, it's so peaceful and calm and welcoming and just an amazing place to spend some time. You know, whether it's just like this or you're here for an event or a program. And one of the things, so I wanted to mention was we've lived in Santa Cruz County for 10 years now, a little over 10 years. And one of the most interesting things about this community is the community and the sense of community and the relationships that are built here. And I've always felt like Live Earth Farm and the Farm Discovery Program really encapsulates all of that really well. The sense of community around this farm and around these programs, the community that's developed with animals, the community that's developed with food, the community that's developed with self, and the relationships that are built around all that just makes this a really special place and a place that really embodies everything that's great about this community and about this county. And you can come out here and learn so much, meet so many different people, meet different animals, learn about where your food is grown, learn about the connectivity between the earth, food, these guys, and the people that work here. It's just a really special place and a place for our family that we really feel is a part of our community, our personal community. And Sarah, do you want to say something else about how much you like coming to camp here?
That's mostly it.
That's mostly it. But especially this year, we, like so many parents and so many families, really had a difficult time adjusting to the changes that happened in mid-March, and being able to come here during the summer for camp and her getting the experience to be around kids her age and to have a learning experience was just a godsend for us, and just another example of the Farm Discovery Program being able to meet people where they're at and bring support to where people need it. So we really appreciated everything that this program's done for us, and we think the world of this place.
You see, it's all the same. You did a great work here. And sometimes we find something in there, like a piece like this, that, feel free to remove it. But you're also fine if you have some of those, it's basically some of the, what is it called? Not the stem, but the core. The core. Yeah, so that's all good. So yeah, that's for that. The potatoes are sliced the way you like. And then we're going to make that sauce, right? Do you want to help me with that?
Sure. We were about to check in on that. Do you want to check in on the strudel?
Oh yeah, but let's do this first, since we're already here.
Okay.
So you can cut these into walnut-sized pieces.
Are we talking small walnuts or large walnuts?
Medium.
All right.
let's say, can I borrow the knife?
Yes.
Let's say this is about the size of a walnut, right? So in the recipe, a lot of times it's going to say cut them walnut size or cut them in inches, right? And I'm used to the metric system, so I don't even know what that means. But thanks for asking that question. So, you know, it depends on what we do. So I would probably cut them like this, you know, about this size.
Right.
And let's remove the leaves. Why? Because we're going to roast this in a pan. So we're going to cut into pieces like this, the celery or celery root. You can use leeks also, which we don't have today. A carrot, onion, and some garlic.
Do we need to peel any of them?
We don't have to peel them, and we also shouldn't peel them because the peel of the carrots has stuff that we want, and there's no need. So we have carrots that come with the greens, so we know it's fresh out of the ground. If you buy carrots at the store, they usually come like this, which is fine as well. But here it really shows us how fresh they are and how crunchy they are. Wonderful. Okay, so now you see this green stuff, these little hairs, that's all okay. So you just cut all that. Also the onions, you don't have to peel it, right? And then just cut all this stuff, this celery, and some garlic. So just, oh my God, I can't open that. Can you give this a try?
So this garlic came out of the Farm Discovery fields. We are planting now for next year's crop. And we actually took some of the seed garlic that we planned to use for seed and sent it out to you guys because we wanted you to have the garlic that we grew.
Yeah.
And don't worry, we still have enough seed.
Yeah, so probably 2 cloves will be enough. And you know, garlic has etheric oil inside. So I just want to show you really quick how you can make your own minced garlic. It's not part of this recipe, but you see, I put the garlic between my pointer finger and thumb. You see it with this hand. I kind of crack it like this, and so it falls out. Now I chop my garlic like this. See, just roughly. Now I put some sand on it. I always say sand in my cooking classes because it acts like sand, but it's of course salt. So now I put the knife down over the garlic, put this hand here, and you see I am making my own garlic paste that you probably buy at the store for a lot of money. And you see how fast I did it. It takes no time. And you see all the oil comes out, and it's magical. It's not that magical, but it's much faster and it tastes better. Okay, do you want to continue here? The garlic for our sauce, we're just going to cut it in half, right? And we put it on here with the skin and everything. And we're going to use this garlic here to season the sauce later, or maybe we can use it for the potatoes, right? So I'm going to give this to you, right?
Yep.
So maybe you can use it for the potatoes.
So this garlic is okay with all the peel?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Same with the onion. And you know, all that stuff goes on here.
Yeah.
That's going to make our sauce.
Okay.
Okay,
Martin,
great.
people want to know what kind of pan or dish they're going to need for the sauce, to make the sauce.
So a saute pan.
And then something about back to the celery.
Yep. The
So I
celery.
don't know what it's for. It's for the sauce, right?
The celery is for the sauce, yeah. When I eat my celery like a crudité or as a salad or something, I like peeling my celery. So because outside it's kind of stringy, and then you can put these also in the sauce or in the stock. But for our purpose here, of course, we don't have to peel the celery because we're going to roast it, right? I'm getting ahead of myself. You should probably chop it because you do it better. I'm going over there now to the apple strudel. And there's some orange juice, huh? That orange juice is going to be for the cabbage, right? So I'm going to put that over there. Also, you can open your tomato paste already, because for our sauce, we're going to need a saute pan, some oil, the chopped vegetables, and some tomato paste, and some water. All right. So now, strudel. I'm going to wash my hands really quick because I have garlicky fingers. Okay, so let's see. You cut the apples perfectly. How did you do that so well? You focused.
Yeah, I focused on
Exactly.
the before.
Oh, I'm very impressed how you did this. I like it. And then she supervised you. Yeah?
Our chicken timer's going on.
Oh, the chicken timer. Okay, let's take a look. I can tell you it's not cooked, but we want to take a look. All right, so you see some juice comes out right there, and the white stuff here is protein that comes out of the chicken. But you know, if you go like this, you can see it's very soft. The more solid it gets, or the harder it gets, the more resistance it has when you push it, then it's going to be cooked. But you see, it's really soft. You can tell by the looks already, it's not cooked. So you put it back in, and you know, after I open the oven, heat will come out. So now I turn up the heat a little bit, like by 30 degrees, and in a little while, I'll check it again. So now we are at how many degrees? I think 400. Yeah, we're at 400 degrees now. The recipe says 350 for half an hour.
Can we just take a pause to show them what the roughly chopped onions,
Sure.
celery, carrots look like, so they're curious what they're doing.
Okay, apple tin will be there in just a minute. Okay, so now the vegetables look like this. You can already open the tomato paste. Okay, so now let's go over to our apple friends. Okay, so we have a bowl with apples, and I'm just getting a very large bowl, see? Because if we mix it, it might be better to have a big one so you can pour it in there. By the way, these bowls are made by Annie Glass and Personal Fan, because you know, with all the gold, it's high quality. So now we move this out, right? So it's always good to have a little second helper. There you go. Okay, you can just leave that here. Maybe we'll use it later. And also I like to look at it. Okay, so now you see the apples, right? So what are you going to put in there?
I'm gonna put some cinnamon,
Okay.
some raisins.
I thought you don't like raisins.
Well, I don't really like raisins, but I could still dunk some.
Okay. Oh, that's very nice of
Yeah.
you. And does everybody else in your family like them?
I think so.
That's so nice of you. Yeah.
And then I'm
Awesome.
gonna put some nuts,
Okay.
some brown sugar, and a lemon.
Lemon. Oh, okay. So let's maybe you could cut that lemon. And you see now there's seeds, right? So can I borrow this lemon? So you see the seeds are right there. So you can use a little strainer to catch the seeds. Or you know, I just put my fingers out and I squeeze it on here. You see how the seeds fall into my hand? And the juice drips between my fingers. And that's how I can make sure nothing's going to fall in there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Am I doing it right?
Yes.
Okay. Could I do it wrong?
Not really. No.
Okay. So lemon, and then you said cinnamon.
Yes, cinnamon. So
Do you love cinnamon?
I really like cinnamon.
Are you going to give it like a half a pound of cinnamon?
Probably
No.
not.
How much are you putting? Is that like a teaspoon?
Something like
Yeah. So in the recipe it says, oops. So I have to change the recipe now to a tablespoon of cinnamon because you're a cinnamon fan. Or what are you, a cinnamon chef? Okay. But I'm going to remove this now because you're going to put even more. No, just kidding. Okay, now raisins, right? Okay. So if you get one raisin, you're going to be fine?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So raisins are done. And again, these plates, oh my God, look what I did. Because I want to show them this beautiful plate made by Andrea. Okay. Now we have the nuts, right? So here we have almonds. They're sliced almonds. Why are we using almonds and not hazelnuts?
Because what we have is almonds.
Okay, so because we like almonds.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, a pinch of salt, right? So weird to put salt in the dessert.
Yeah.
But I also put a little bit of sugar into the savory food because it gives it a nice balance. Sugar.
1 spoonful of sugar.
1 spoon. Are you using a cooking spoon or a tablespoon or?
Tablespoon.
Tablespoon. So, you know, for those of you that love sweet desserts, we're going to be immediate friends. If you don't like them with too much sugar, like us here, you can put a little bit less sugar and it's still sweet enough because the apples already have sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very good. And it's also healthier, right? Because sugar is not all that healthy, is it? You eat a lot of sugar?
No, not really.
Did you go trick-or-treating or?
Yes, I did.
And did you eat all the candy yesterday?
No.
No. Good. Awesome. Me either. Okay. Now we have in this mix, I got already. What is it?
So
Apples?
We have apples, cinnamon, lemon juice, sugar, raisins, and almonds or hazelnuts.
And a pinch of salt.
And a pinch of salt.
And a pinch of salt. Perfect. All right. You remembered it well.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what else do we have here? Butter and breadcrumbs. Okay. So now I think you could probably bring the butter and the breadcrumbs with you. Right? Why don't you do it? Help us get this one and that one. And then let's go over here to the oven. And then you can turn on the gas. And then we need another pan. Where could we find a pan? Maybe one of those.
We're asking, people are asking for us to slow down.
Okay. So I'm going to do it very slowly. Okay. And now you can put the ingredients, the breadcrumbs and the butter maybe there somewhere. Yeah, because we're not going to turn it on anyway. And then we can turn on this gas. Where is it? Which one is it? Do you know? There you go. One came on. Great. I'm so happy now. So I put that back there. And you see the flame is kind of bigger than the pot. So we can turn it down a little bit. Okay. So now we're going to take some of that butter, right, and put that. See about how much is that? Tablespoon.
Like something like a tablespoon.
Yeah. So we put the tablespoon of butter into the pan, and then that's probably a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. So for the 8 apples, a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs is probably the right way. Make sure the breadcrumbs aren't seasoned. Like sometimes you buy the breadcrumbs at the store, and they already have like salt and what else could they have? Like spices and herbs, right?
Parsley. There was a parsley.
Parsley. So yeah, our breadcrumbs are natural. Yeah. So to be sure you have good breadcrumbs is when you have like a toast or bread that is kind of old, just dry it and make your own breadcrumbs, right? Like these are our own. Okay. So you see now when this is kind of
Martin, that was a tablespoon of butter,
melted.
is that right?
So I used a teaspoon, but you saw how big it was.
Yeah.
So in the recipe, it's a tablespoon.
Can you ever have too much butter?
Never.
I don't think you can, but I like to
Maybe.
use less butter.
Uh-huh.
There's no sugar so far.
In this, there's no sugar, but over there, you put 2 spoons of sugar, right? 1 spoon of sugar. What kind of spoon?
On the apple.
Tablespoon. Yeah. So the maximum sugar you should put in the apple strudel is probably a 1/4 cup, not more, because it's going to just really be too sweet. So you see now the butter's melted, and now you can pour the breadcrumbs into the butter. Perfect. Wow. Okay, so you see what that looks like now? the breadcrumbs are taking over. You see? They stole all the butter. They soak it up. Right? So you see this? This is breadcrumbs and butter mixed. So now we put this back on here, and then you can stir it around a little bit. Just go in there, yep, and hold it with this hand. Yep, and then you can just stir it around. I'm going to turn the heat up just a tiny little bit. And you see that the spoon is so small that you might burn yourself, but it works, right? You're doing it a perfect job there. And now I'm getting more sugar. So you see, we have brown sugar. You can also use regular, I don't like saying regular, but white cane sugar that's bleached. I personally like brown sugar for everything. There's light brown and there's also dark brown. So what kind is this light brown sugar? So I put that in there. Yeah, just a little bit. Is it getting way too hot now for your hands?
Not way too hot, but it's a little hot.
Okay. So maybe we could use a cooking spoon or something. Look at this spoon here. This is much bigger, like in comparison, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a huge spoon. So let's see if it works better. Is that easier?
Yeah, way easier.
So you see, whatever is easier for you is going to be the best way. So you can turn this around also, right? And now let me show the audience at home. You can just hold that spoon for a minute, and you see what it's doing. It's combining, and it comes off the pan again, see? So it's brown sugar, the breadcrumbs, and butter. And they're all probably in equal amounts. So a spoon each. Okay, so that's good. And so now we turn off the gas. And then I'm going to give this back to you. And I'm going to give this back to you. And I'm going to take this from you. Okay, now we go back to our apples. And so now, see, because I have such a long spoon, I can take it out of your pan. Yeah? So I take half of these breadcrumbs and put them in here. Sweet breadcrumbs. That's going to give it a little bit of a crunch. Okay, and those we can maybe put over there for now. All right. So this we don't really need anymore. Right, we're done with this stuff. I'm just going to put that over here. And so now on this mix, we have apples, cinnamon, nuts, raisins, the breadcrumbs with brown sugar and butter, the brown sugar itself. Why did we put that separately? Because we wanted to. You can break all the rules. You cannot put anything in there, just apples, and it's still going to work. Depends on your preference. Okay, so now we have the filling, and I have this big spoon because it's easier for you to reach in, right? So now you can mix that around. Look at that. If you want to be a professional chef, please be like her, because that's how you mix apples in a bowl. Perfect.
Must be a professional chef.
Oh, really? Well, I could have guessed that. It shows. Yeah, because you care. You know, the more you care about the stuff you make, the better it's going to taste. That's why grandma's or mom's food always tastes the best. Because they love us, right? Yeah. Or maybe dad. I just hope more dads will be cooking. That's why I became a cooking dad, because I love doing it, just like you. Okay, so now let's...
I just want to quickly share a picture of some of our at-home chefs. There's Joe and Sarah working hard on that kale. We'll see. I'm sure we have some more. We'll share in a minute.
Okay, so now we're going to make that strudel dough. Okay, strudel chef, are you ready for that?
Yeah.
What's the recipe again?
2 cups of flour.
2 cups of flour, so I can get that egg. Oh, the egg. Look, this is a brown egg, but I saw a gray egg before. Is that a different chicken or?
Yeah. Different
Can I
breeds,
see
play
that?
different colors. Here's another picture of a chef at home at the beginning of the starting on the squash.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah, I love that knife. Yeah, that's the way to do it. I love learning from
Share
others.
your pictures.
So you see these? So this is a white feather chicken, this is a brown feather chicken?
No, actually, but I have heard that you can tell by the color of their ear.
Oh,
I haven't tested that.
I didn't know chickens have ears.
Yeah, well, it's a kind of
But
a
they're
hole covered by
definitely here.
feathers on the side of their head. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want to learn more about all this chicken stuff, you can come out here. I think you're doing tours, right?
Well,
Not
yes,
right
yes.
now?
Yep. And your safe COVID pod can come visit the farm generally Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Okay.
Spots available.
So I want to
Family
learn
farm
this. Maybe I can come. Okay. So now we're going to, you see, we put 2 cups of flour. Let me help you with it. So we shake it, and then we go like this. See, everything. Okay. I didn't measure this, but look at it. It's perfectly 2 cups.
It is.
Wow.
There we go.
Okay. Now, I think on the 2 cups of flour, we can put 1 egg in there. So you can crack that egg. And before you do, I want to tell you a little trick. I'm going to show you on this one. So I crack it on a flat surface. And you see, now some of the liquid comes out. Now I break the shell even more. Because under the initial shell, there's a little skin that we want to break. So when this stuff comes out, you know you did it right. And then I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to crack this in there now. So that's what you can do. But this egg here is from the dressing. So for the dressing, we're going to separate the egg into the egg white and the egg yolk. So now you want to have a container you don't use anymore. And you see, you hold it like this sideways. And then I'm pretty sure you've done this before. But then you put one side in a horizontal way, and the other side goes away like this. And then the egg white just kind of drops out like that. You shake a little bit. And you see, there's this stuff that doesn't come off. So you can just kind of go like this. Yeah, and it's done, right? And now you have the egg yolk. Maybe, Sheila, you could bring the mixer over here, the cup for the blender, and we'll put that in there. But we'll make the dressing later. I just wanted to show. Yeah, so I just dropped the egg yolk into the mixer.
Martin,
and then you can
before you
take.
start the dough, some folks have their chicken winding up. Do you have any instructions?
Okay, awesome.
on how to finish their chicken?
Let's go take a look at the chicken in just a minute. But first, let's crack an egg in there. And we'll look at the chicken in really just a minute. Perfect how you did that. And the egg goes in. The shell can go in here. Yep. It's okay. So we don't need this anymore. We'll get rid of it. So now you have some oil, right? So it's 2 cups, 1 egg, and then how much oil is that? Can you pour it in? So a tablespoon. If you put 2 tablespoons, it's still gonna work, but 1 tablespoon is good. And now we have some water as well, right? Okay. So now we'll mix this dough, and you can pour some water. Okay. So it's gonna be. So you see it's mixing this up. This is what it looks like. And I know it's only 20 more seconds to check the chicken. So we'll do that in a minute. So you see how this combines now? So we put about half a cup of water in here. Yeah, about half of this is what we poured in. No? Maybe less? Okay. Only. But you see what that does already? So we don't need a lot of water, right? So, but pour a little bit more in there. And then I know you all wash your hands at home. So you see, we take this off the spoon now. And see, you remove this now. And then I'm going to mix it with my hands. I just knead it like that. So vegetable oil is best. We used corn oil, but you can use avocado oil, like any oil that doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. Like olive oil, for example, might be too flavorful for your dessert. So now you see your dough is going to slowly shape up, but we need a little bit more water. And I'll show you in just a sec what the consistency will be after we check our chicken. Okay, so you guys can knead this further, right? And maybe to make it easier, you can even do it here on the sanitized table. So we sprayed the surfaces with bleach to kill any bacteria on our surfaces. It's it, because it's going to be touched with food. So we're going to push this down kind of and then fold it over. And with the palm of our hand, we just kind of push it down like this. We fold it. We do it again. See? And then it's going to shape your strudel dough. But I can tell it needs a splash more water. Okay, that's good. Okay. And so from here, you just kind of knead it on the table until it shapes into a smooth dough. Okay, I'm going to let you continue. And maybe one of you can get just a little bit more flour because we used it all up. So maybe from that pot in there, you can bring just, let's say, 3 more tablespoons of flour. And you can knead this in the meantime, and I'll get rid of this bowl, and I'll also be checking on the chicken now. All right. I already smell the chicken.
It smells like bacon.
It smells like bacon. Okay. All right. So
I have one more picture we can share before we pull out the dough. There's someone else at home cooking away. Hi, Lisa.
No, it was you.
oh, wow. That's a good picture. I hope I'll see all these pictures on social media later.
Well, that one you won't.
Oh,
that
no.
person is not on social media, so
Oh,
I'll share
okay.
you that one with you. The rest,
Well, I already
on
have
social
some.
media.
So, when you cook at home, a lot of times you have a heat glove or an oven glove. I just use a towel, but I fold it a lot, so it fits on my hand. And then I kind of go like this, because that's how I can touch my pan. So when I open this up, I take the chicken out. And now let's take a look at it. You see, it's hard or solid. And you can also see that on the side, you see the protein comes out. When this is white, you know your chicken is practically cooked, but you want to double check and make sure it is really cooked. How do we do that? So we take the pan back to our cutting board that has been cleaned in the meantime. And we're going to take the chicken out. It's hot. My hands are used to the hot stuff. I can touch it just like that. But it's easier if you use like a kitchen tool to get your chicken out. You put it on the cutting board, and then you can slice it where the thickest part is, maybe here on the side. And now let's take a look at our chicken. Can you see this? Oh, I used the red cabbage knife. That's why it's a little bit colored. So you can see chicken is cooked through, right? You can tell when there's no more juice coming out that it's cooked. And so we also have a thermometer, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can see the thermometer. You probably have that at home. from barbecuing or when you make a turkey. So let's see what temperature that has now. And then if you're unsure about the temperature of a meat, you can just go online and put in core temperature chicken, and it will tell you at what temperature it's really cooked.
Yeah.
It shows 171.
Yes.
When we looked it up earlier, it said 170 degrees it's cooked, yeah?
I believe so.
Okay, so because you're such a great chef, you cooked it at 171, which is 1 degree hotter than it should be, which is more than perfect.
Martin,
Right.
would you mind pausing and just maybe asking folks at home what they feel behind it or what they need?
Yeah, so for now, you know, the chicken is now cooked and we let that rest a little bit. So you can just leave it there in the pan and, you know, we're going to continue cooking, but we still have to do our cabbage, we still have to do our potatoes, we still have to do our sauce, we still have to make the strudel and the soup. We haven't really finished anything just yet.
We have 40 minutes.
We have 40 minutes left. So what we've done so far was all the preparations, and then the actual plating of the food will be fast. But cooking is all about preparation and readiness. So over there at the dessert station, we're pretty much ready to roll the strudel in the dough and to put it in the oven. And then once it's in the oven, we're done. All we have to do is cut it and put it on the plate, right? When it comes to the cabbage, then we still have to cook it. So now we need to think at this point what we're going to do next. So it all comes together at the same time in the end, right? Because everything should be cooked pretty much at the same time, because that's when dinner time is. So I would say as the next step, we should look at our sauce. So we can use a saute pan just like this one, and we can bring our vegetables and the tomato paste to our oven over there.
Martin, one guest had a question about the juice in the chicken pan. Are you going to do anything with that?
So the juice in the chicken pan we can use for the sauce, which we will be making in a minute. So I can show you how we can do this already. So we just take the chicken for now, take it out. I like letting it sit in the juice a little bit because that's extra flavor. So we have our chicken there. You see, and now I'm just bringing this pan with me with the chicken juice in it, and then maybe you could grab the vegetables, and we'll go over there to make the sauce. So you have a saute pan, just like that, and you turn it up to a high temperature. Then you put some cooking oil into the pan, and then you let the oil heat up a little bit, and then we're going to put the vegetables we chopped into our pan. Now, you let this roast a little bit until it turns brown. It will take about, I would say, 10 minutes to stir these and to caramelize them. So the tomato paste, we have that ready. So the tomato paste with a spoon should be right next to it. Then we have some chicken stock, which is over here in the fridge. So we'll have some chicken stock ready, or some vegetable stock, vegetable broth, or water is fine as well. And then here we have more liquid that we can put in the sauce. So the steps are like this. Roast the vegetables until they're brown. Once they're brown, put 1 tablespoon of tomato paste in it and roast it for another about 5 minutes. And then put the liquid on it and then cook it for another 5 minutes. But that might be confusing at this point. So for now, let's just cook the vegetables in the pan until they turn brown. And while this is cooking here, we're going to work on our strudel. Okay, so let's see. Should we put the strudel on this plate when it's done? It's probably not big enough, huh?
Probably not.
Maybe we need this big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this we don't really need anymore. Move that to the side. All the stuff. Okay. So now you see the consistency of the dough after she kneaded it. How long did she knead it? 5 minutes. Yeah. So you let this dough rest for about 10 minutes. And so let's move this over here to make some space. Okay. So now, I'm not sure if you at home can hear the sizzling of the vegetables, but you know, we just want to keep that in our mind, that the vegetables are sauteing right there, roasting, and not to burn them. But here, we put a fresh towel out for the strudel. And then, let's see, put some flour on it. And you know, it might be a big one, so we're going to actually cut. No video right now?
I think I need a.
Okay.
I'm on Santa Cruz.
So if the video was gone for a second, our apology. So you see what you guys can do is kind of just flatten this by hand. And yeah, you could use a rolling pin at first, but you know, the thinner it gets, the easier it will just be with by hand. And so let's just keep putting flour on here. Okay. And then we just pull this without ripping a hole into it. See, it's almost thin. But it needs to get so thin that you can actually read a newspaper through this, or a book, or go to online school through it. Yeah, maybe. So you see, we just flatten this, and maybe you can come over here this side and do the same thing, and just pull it, right, until it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. Okay, now we can go back to the stove over here and look at our vegetables. So you see, they're roasting away now, right? So when you do this, it's the pan kind of just shakes it back in, see? It's a matter of practice. So you put that on, and then, you know, you want to roast this until it's golden brown, which will take another 5 minutes. But it's looking very good already. Okay, so now for the red cabbage, we're going to put that in a pot. Do we have a pot ready for that? Or we can also just use a pan like this. But you know, if you have a pot, that's probably good. Here. So then the red cabbage goes in here. And then you fill it up with orange juice. And we're going to simmer all that orange juice away. Okay. Brent, can you remind me what else you're going to put in it?
Then we're going to put some chicken chicken stock in there or vegetable stock.
Okay.
Would be good.
So vegetable stock, I think we have some over there. So to the orange juice, we're adding some vegetable stock. Perfect. So I like putting maybe a half a cup or so, which you did, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Awesome. And maybe pepper, right?
Yeah, pepper. And we were gonna do some salt.
Oh, yeah. And so this is the pink pepper jelly they make here.
Are you gonna put that in there?
So we'll put some of that. And again, the traditional recipe, can you see how much we have? About this much. It gives it extra flavor. And you can use even strawberry jam. Yeah, so for the salt, you see, it's about this much because it's actually a sweet dish. So we don't want to put too much salt. So now that's good. And then we had some pepper, right? Is that right?
I put some pepper in.
Put some. And then cinnamon. Yeah. Maybe we can put some cinnamon in it.
Hey Martin, quick
Yeah.
question. This poor mama at home is cooking all by herself. Her
Yeah.
tweens are not helping her. Do you have any suggestions? I hear you bring families together and get
Yeah.
people to help.
Yeah. So, it's the experience we have today that determines how we're going to react to something next time. So it's very important that when you cook with teenagers or children, I give classes to children at 3 years old, and they've never cooked anything. And it's about keeping calm when you're cooking, and to also get the kids kind of inspired and let them cook. If you want to control everything, you're going to have a hard time. So it's much easier that you let the people that cook with you be their own chef, because you'll see that stuff comes out better, and just help them rather than having the kids help you. Does that make sense? I know it's not easy. I really do know it's not easy. I raised 3 kids, and I believe that it's hard for everyone to inspire the kids with stuff. But that's probably what it's about for me, is to inspire.
It also tastes better if you make it. As a kid, it tastes better when I make it.
You take ownership, right?
Yes, it tastes much better.
Because if mom cooks it or dad, and then just sit down at the table, then you're going to say, well, you could have done better. I don't like it. I'm never going to eat this again. But when you cook it, it's just going to be good, right?
Yes.
That goes for growing it too. We have kids all the time on the farm who will not taste something until it's something that they grew or picked themselves. And then all of a sudden they're really eating green beans and kale and things that you would not expect a kid to eat. So grow it yourself, cook it yourself, kids.
Awesome. So now for the red cabbage, you see we have, let me just set this down right here. If I can turn this on. I mean, we need to turn on the gas. There we go. Now it's on. Okay, so now this cabbage is just going to, like on medium, simmer all the juice away. Everything you see in there that's liquid is going to cook away practically. You're still going to have a little bit at the end, but that's when it's done. So yeah, this is really my mom's old recipe that we Californicated a little bit.
Where's your mom?
Sorry?
Tell them where your mom is.
Oh, my mom's in Austria. They're probably sleeping right now because they're 9 hours ahead of us. So we'll let the red cabbage cook right here. And now we'll go back to our sauce.
Hey, real quick, Mark.
Yeah.
There was a question about what ingredients are in the cabbage.
So I think we put the cabbage.
Yep.
Then orange juice. We covered it in orange juice.
Yep.
Then you added a little bit of chicken stock.
Yep.
Then
we had the brown sugar.
A little bit of brown sugar, so a tablespoon of brown sugar.
And then we had the jelly jam.
The jam. marmalade, jam, jelly, any preserve works.
We put a little bit of salt.
Salt,
And
a pinch
pepper.
of salt, kind of.
Salt,
Pepper.
and I don't think
Cinnamon.
a little bit of cinnamon.
Did we put cinnamon?
Yes.
Because I know your kids love it.
Yeah, we put a little bit.
Okay,
of
awesome. Okay, good. Yeah, that's basically it. And then you can help with other ingredients. You can put like a drop of vanilla extract in there. I mean, it's really up to you. But you know, to make, it's about the technique to braise this in the orange. Okay, could we use grapefruit juice? Yes, but it's a little more bitter. I like oranges, especially the local ones that grow in my neighbor's yard. Okay, so now you can tell the vegetables are taking color. Right? It's almost burned. It's really dark. So now we put a spoon of tomato paste in it. And then we kind of just work the tomato paste in there. And feel free to remove the pan. You know, it doesn't mean that you have to keep the pan on the fire the whole time. It's okay to remove the pan or to turn down the heat or turn it off. However, at this point when you work in the tomato paste, you just want it to be everywhere. And now from here, it takes about 2 minutes until the sugar in the tomato paste will caramelize. And of course, the onions also have some sugar that caramelizes. So if you look at it, it's still red right now. The tomato paste is still red, but it's going to turn brown in really just a minute. And then once you put the stock or water on top, you'll see the concept of making a brown sauce. So when you make a meat sauce, then you also put some bones in there, like chicken bones, beef bones that you roast, and then you put the vegetables, the tomato sauce, and then you put the liquid, and that makes your brown sauce. So one thing is important is not to burn. So just pay attention because, you know, we're really roasting this and it's going to sit on the pan. You know, it's good to kind of scratch it off the pan a little bit, just like that. And you see, it's now starting to lose its red color and it turns brown. And my heat is at medium now. So we just want to be very careful once the tomato paste is in there. And you see the goodness in here? You see this? It's dark brown. So that is the caramelization of that sugar. All right. So once the red color disappears and it's all looking brown, then we put our excess chicken juice from our chicken breasts in there. See, it doesn't look very pretty, but it sure is going to taste very pretty. And then once it starts to simmer and like combine the liquids with the solids, you will see it's a nice brown sauce. So I'm adding a little bit more vegetable broth to it. Okay. So you see it's brown now. That's really how you make a brown sauce. So once it simmers for about 10 minutes, you can just strain it. And then if it's too thin for you, you can put some cornstarch and water and make it thick. So you see we have our cornstarch here. So what I like to do is I have my broth and I mix this in here. And then I am stirring this with a spoon. I think in elementary school this is called oobleck. So that's what it is. And that's going to make our sauce thick. And again, you know, you don't want your sauce to be as thick as gravy, but it's made with flour and so on. But, you know, if you like your sauce thicker, then you just put more of this stuff. Another good way instead of this is to mix butter, like solid butter that's kind of room temperature, with flour, like flour and butter together. It's called a beurre manier. And then that can also thicken the sauce. It's butter and flour mixed. So now you look at this, how it's also kind of thick already. So you see, we don't even need much of it. See, it looks nice. It's already kind of thick. Yeah. So I'm just going to put like 1 little spoon of it in there. But you see, that makes it even thicker. Yeah. And then you can use the vegetables if you peel the carrots, and if you don't have onion peels and so on, it's maybe not going to taste that good. But you can leave the stuff in there as well. But we're going to strain ours. So you see, it got a little bit too thick, so I'm adding more stock to it now until I have the consistency I want. So this sauce is what I want on my chicken. See, it's not too thin, it's not too thick, it's nice and light. Okay, so now you know how to make brown sauce if you didn't know before. And then maybe Sheila could strain this for us into a smaller pot with a little strainer. Okay, so we have a little pot here, a strainer on top, and then we just pour this in here. Just go like this a little bit, where you can stir it with a spoon. Okay, so now, thank you. So now you see, you have a nice brown sauce that we made in how much time? 10 minutes? So there's no need to go and buy like a finished sauce at the store that's full of preservatives and stuff. Okay, so our sauce is done. Our red cabbage needs more time, right? So we want to get the flames up. So yeah, that's cooking. And then Brent, your potatoes probably have to be made, right?
Yeah, we were just thinking about that.
Are you going to just boil them in the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
So maybe we can have a pot and put our potatoes. Okay. All right. You see, the water we used here is cold, right? So now I'm going over to the sink and I'm going to get the cold water out. I'm just going to pour it out and replace it with hot water. So we start boiling the potatoes in hot water. All right, so that's it. Now you can put that on here. I don't know if we have the burner for the igniter. There we go. Okay, and now when we boil our potatoes in water, you want to have enough salt. You're going to strain it anyway after from the water, right? But the salty water makes them taste good from the get-go. Brent, you're going to strain this after, right?
Yeah. We also have some garlic. Would you like to put
Oh
some
yeah,
garlic in?
let's put that in there. That sounds really good. Okay. So now the chicken is done, right? It's just waiting for us to slice it and plate it. The potatoes will be done in what, about 20 minutes? Right, the cabbage is cooking here. That's going to be done very soon as well. So these will probably be done around the same time. And then the main course is pretty much a done deal, huh?
Yep.
All right. Should we try some cheese now?
Yeah.
Or should we do the apple strudel first?
Ooh, apple strudel.
Okay. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Yeah. So you made them thin? Finish? So you see? I'm putting them on my hand like this and pulling, and now I rip the hole in it. So we can pull this on the side. And can you put this out for me and make it flat? Okay. So you see when you have some holes, that's okay. We can always patch them up a little bit. Okay. Okay. So that's really well done already. You can always go a little bit thinner, you know. Just make it as thin as possible. Yeah, but you did a great job. Are you proud of this yet or no? Well, I would too. I would be too proud. Okay, so now we have the rest of our breadcrumbs, right? And so with these breadcrumbs, you can take them and sprinkle them on here. Very good. And now you can take the apple filling. Yeah. Then you put that on top. Probably half, right? Because we have to make another one. Perfect. Awesome. I bet it's going to taste really amazing because you made it. Is that right? Okay, so is that about half? Yeah. Okay. Very good. So now I think we kind of distribute this, right? Just like that. And now we're going to fold this in on one side. Then we'll fold it on the other side. And then we need to get a sheet pan ready, yeah? Should we get a sheet pan from someone? Where do you think we can find them? Maybe over there. Let's see one sticking out right there. Perfect. Okay, so you can put that here. Okay, so you see we put some oil. We have some left in our pot here. So we put some oil, and also sometimes at home you have a non-stick spray. I just like to use oil because I know it's natural. And so we just put the oil on the pan to prevent it from sticking. And then we put it like this. Yeah, you saw this on TV, didn't you? Yeah, and then we just go like this. Yeah, and then, yeah, you did it right. And then I'm just helping you on. Okay, can they see everything? Hopefully. And then we just kind of, no, you did it right from here. I'm sorry, I'm distracting you. Okay, good, done. Look at that. Right? So now you hold it there. If you pick it up, you just have to stretch the towel, you see, and it can fly. You do it and then just kind of roll it on here. Yeah. Yay! Awesome, beautiful. Good job. Okay, so now we kind of carefully move it to the side, right? Because we have a second one as well. So we turn this like this, so we can fit our second one on here. Okay, so this one has a little bit more holes. That looks like the Greek islands. Do you know where that is? It's in the Mediterranean. You know where that is? It's like where Greece is. Gotcha. But you can always look up the map. Okay, so now we can pull this again, right, like you did before. And you know, I always like telling young chefs and old chefs, you can't do it wrong. So if you have some holes, that's okay. You can patch them up. If it's not as thin as newspaper, that's fine, right? Look at it, it still came out perfect. Do you want to do this?
We can put the rest of the
Oh yeah. See, that's why together we can do it much better because we don't forget. Yeah, so sprinkle that.
I have a pic of some other young chefs being silly in the kitchen. Hi, Danny.
Beautiful. Okay. So while you guys are rolling that up, maybe we could take a look at our salad dressing, right? Because that's something we still have to make.
As well as the soup.
Yep. So maybe you want to do the soup first.
Let's do salad.
Okay, let's check this stuff here. So the potatoes. So I saw, while we're doing the strudel, I saw Brent stirring this already. And by his looks, he's saying it's almost done. So that's good. And then the cabbage, you see it's already changing its color. And the acidity of the orange juice is changing its color. Looks good. Doesn't look all that great just yet, but I'm sure it's going to taste good already. So I'm going to taste it. Wow, it's good. Did you put some wine in there?
No.
No. If you want, because wine also has acid, right? Or sometimes I've seen people put a little splash of vinegar in there. Whatever has acid or acidity is going to help. I like using powdered apple acid, and that you can buy that at the store. Oh, I have some butter here melting, but that's already melted. So now we want to brush that on our strudel. Where did the strudel chefs go? All right. Can you locate a brush for us somehow? We need like a brush to brush some butter on top. We don't have to brush butter on top, but it makes it a little bit more golden. Then, be careful because this was on the stove. It's hot, right? You just hold it here because it's not hot. And then you can brush. You want to hold it with one hand? Yep. And just bring it closer. Beautiful. So that goes on top. Okay, and back to our dressing, chef. So maybe we should turn the potatoes down just a little bit because they're boiling very much. So a little bit. Okay. So now we have a egg yolk in there from earlier, right? So there's only one egg yolk in here. And now we're adding some mustard. So you can put a little bit. Let me come behind you. Awesome. So a little bit of mustard. Yep, I can help. Very good. Very good. So, for one egg yolk, we use about a teaspoon of mustard. You can just squeeze it in perfect. Okay, and then we have some vinegar. You like raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I like that too. So we put that in. So we had one egg yolk,
Mustard.
the same amount of egg yolk in mustard, and then 3 amounts that in vinegar. That means if it's a spoon of egg yolk, a spoon of mustard, then we put 3 spoons of vinegar. That's in. And now we put some oil. So I see you like organic extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
Are you a virgin? No, that's a personal question. It's why is it called virgin? Because it's the first press when the the olives are pressed between stones, then the oil drips out drop by drop by drop. So it's just a word.
I did not know that.
Forget about it.
Okay.
It's the first press. Yeah. But you know, they write this on the bottle.
Mhm.
That's why a lot of people joke about it. It's not even funny. But
Oh, you don't know it.
extra virgin olive oil. Okay, so now we put the, if we have 3 spoons of vinegar, we put 6 spoons of oil.
Okay.
Okay. So, salt, right?
I
You
don't
want to
think we
put some
salt it,
salt?
yeah.
And then pepper. Brent, you have some pepper for
Have we
us?
checked them on the cabbage lately? Because people were asking about it. We may have, and I might have missed it.
Okay.
Have we peeked at it lately?
So let's look at our cabbage. Yep. So it's going to be done when the liquid is gone. Okay. So in our dressing, so far we have an egg yolk. Can you eat egg yolks raw?
It's not recommended, but if you're pastured, you might be premium. These pastured eggs, yes.
So I personally don't mind eating raw egg yolks. For
Really?
example, I like tiramisu with egg yolk or chocolate mousse with
Caesar salad.
Caesar salad dressing, all kinds of things. But a lot of people don't like
We
it.
gotta know your egg source. You know, if you have good eggs, then you got good fresh
I
eggs.
totally agree. So, you know, you can just leave egg out. It's still going to be a good dressing. What about garlic? Do you
Okay,
like
good.
garlic
I
in your
like
dressing?
I do.
Should we put some of that? If we still have some.
While we get the garlic, we're going to share a beautiful picture of baby cook. Good work, Joe's.
Okay, so now, do you want to help me with this? And you can do it just like me. You see, I put this garlic between my 2 fingers, and then I just kind of go like this, and it peels really easily.
Well, I do it like this.
Yeah.
Like a knife.
Perfect.
Flat and-
Yeah, that's the same thing. Okay. Perfect. So you can chop it a little bit, but the mixer's, the blender's gonna do all that for us. Perfect. So now you know in this dressing you can make any variation. You can put honey in it, you can put, what else could you put?
You put honey, put a little lemon.
Any vinegar,
Yeah.
raspberries to make a raspberry
Sometimes
dressing.
I'll use the bottom of a jam jar.
Yeah,
So,
to scratch the rest out. We can use all kinds of different oils, right? All kinds of different mustard.
Yep.
It's really endless. We can put some kale in there and make it green, right? Herbs.
Basil, yeah.
What about ranch dressing? If we add some buttermilk to it, it will be ranch dressing, right? Pretty much. Okay, so now we put a cover on it. And so if you want to come over here, you can see we have 2 blenders. So you have already put the soup into the one blender, right? Do you want, it's going to make a lot of noise now, but you want to turn on?
Sure, this one needs a little bit.
Okay.
It's gonna be loud. Sorry.
Good. So we're blending the soup now, right? And then we'll soon know what the consistency of the soup is. And if we have to add a little bit more liquid, or if it has to go back on the stove, and we'll make it thicker. Yeah? Let's take a look. I'm just going to use a fork. Oh yes, I love this. And you see how beautiful it looks? The color and everything. It's creamy. Well done. I wonder how it tastes. And did you find that cinnamon?
You know what? I couldn't.
You couldn't find the cinnamon. Oh no.
I looked.
Whoever finds that piece of cinnamon in their bowl, what? They're lucky. Awesome.
Oh no, I have it.
Okay. So I think that's it, right? So for plating that soup, I think we have, we can put it over here. Can you see us? And then you just pour that soup in there. Good. I think now you got the cinnamon.
Okay, is that it?
Okay, that's good enough. That's enough. Beautiful. And now you see, we can decorate our soup with this. Also, I sometimes like to put a little bit of oil on top. It's just additional decoration. So I put the finger on the oil bottle so I don't get all the oil in there. See some olive oil. You can put another up as a decoration. You can grate some pepper on it. What else could we put? Some fresh lemon juice.
Sometimes if I have a little bit of cream, I'll put
a little bit of cream. Gosh, so creative. Look at a little bit of cream as decoration. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, that's the soup. And what about the dressing? Should we turn on the blender?
Do that next one more time.
Okay, so let's turn that on. Is it plugged in? Temperature's high.
I never know if it's working. Oh, there it goes.
Okay. Now, there it goes. Okay. A lot of patience sometimes helps, right? All right. So now the dressing. Let's taste that. So when you taste the dressing, it should be too much of everything. Too much salt, too much vinegar,
yes.
too much garlic. Right? Everything is a little bit too much when you taste the dressing. Why? Because it's going to go on top of all this that has no seasoning. So it's not easy to find the right amount without visualizing or imagining what the outcome will be in the end. But you see, the dressing is emulsified, which means the oil and the vinegar, the mustard, everything is combined into one sauce. So if you put this back in the fridge, because you're not using all of it, then I just use an old bottle and I make a whole thing of dressing and keep it in the fridge. So I don't have to make dressing every day, if that makes sense. With my lettuce in the garden, we eat lettuce every day in summer. So I just make one dressing a month and then I make my variations as I need it. So you can pour the dressing over or put it in a small container so people can use their own measurements in putting dressing. I think some people like a lot this. I see them drenching the salad in dressing, and then others like less. So to make everyone happy, maybe we can have just a little bit. We toss it around a little, right? We marinate it, and then if somebody wants more dressing, we can put the rest into a small bowl and have that on the table. All right, so now on the kale salad, what I personally like a lot is some grated coconut on top. That's actually really good. Kale and shredded coconut is really good. Surprising.
Yeah.
And then you can use all kinds of nuts, right? Mm-hmm. Like I like some grated nuts or chopped nuts on top. Berries, like goji berries. What else?
I don't know, like pumpkin seeds, I think.
Pumpkin seeds.
Almonds.
Grated cheese. What else? I mean, it's endless, right? Yeah. But I must say, the kale salad looks good.
Yeah, sliced apples.
Okay, so now for the potatoes.
What about the strudel?
Oh, the strudel. Should we bake it?
I don't know.
Yes. Let's bake that thing. Let's put it in the oven. Oh my God, they're so pretty. Let me see it again how you did that. Beautiful. Okay, so can I help you? I can open this for you. Let me remove this for now. And then let's put that in there. And you can put it on the bottom. Okay, very good. When you go to the hot oven, it helps not to be too afraid of it by focusing. So you just touch the plate, the sheet pan that's not hot because we know. And then you see it can go all the way, but focus not to touch anything, you see? And not be afraid of it. Okay, so now we close it. and we'll bake that for about 10 minutes. So I think the potatoes are done now, right? So you see the pink stuff on top comes from the pink Himalayan salt. So all we need now is like a strainer, and then we can put that in the, strain it into the sink, or we can use like a bowl like this. I have this idea here, I think. So you see we have this bowl, and then we have a strainer. And you know, this helps when you cook pasta or something, when you use this water again, because this water took on the flavor of the potatoes. So, you know, sometimes I don't throw this water away. It helps to use everything. Okay, so we pour this in, empty. And so now we just strain it. And so that goes into our pot. And you see now the potato water is here, and you see the color of it. It has salt, and I think we put garlic in it. So it's going to be a flavorful water. So we could actually put this into our soup, right? But don't forget, we have a lot of salt in this water. So I only put a little bit to give our soup extra flavor. Okay, so our sauce is ready, but we want to heat it up really quick. We made a little bit of a mess around the oven, but that just happens. So we leave it in there. It can get really hot over here, but that's okay if you touch it here, because you know it's going to be hot if you leave it. I personally like to not leave it in there, because then I know it's not going to be burning my fingers. Okay, so now we stir our sauce a little bit and bring this to a boil. I tasted it, so you know it doesn't need any more salt, pepper, garlic. Brent, help me. What else did we put in the sauce? Salt, pepper, garlic, right? And the vegetables, tomato paste.
That's right. Yeah, that was it.
It has no other ingredients.
No.
Oh, we did put a little bit of cornstarch.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Right, to thicken it. But it's really the vegetables, tomato paste, salt, pepper, garlic.
Cinnamon. You put cinnamon in.
Cinnamon. Did we? No.
I don't think so.
Not in
Maybe
the
in the
sauce.
cabbage.
I think it was in the cabbage.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at the cabbage here. The water's almost, I shouldn't say water, but the liquid is almost boiled away. So you see there's not much left, but now I'm going to taste it and see where it stands. And you see, I can taste the boiling thing because my mouth became just as thick-skinned as my fingers. And you know, if you taste that thing as a family, then the whole family can stick their spoons in it. I can't do it again. I can only do it once and dispose my spoon. But maybe you guys could also taste the cabbage and where it stands now, like the sweetness and how salty it is. Or maybe you want to add a little bit more holiday spice, allspice, or more cinnamon or anything. Okay, so while you're tasting this, our sauce has started to boil, and I turned it off. Now for our potatoes, let's keep them somewhat natural, and we're just going to put some salt on them, and then pepper. We always put salt and pepper on everything, including me. Sometimes think about not using pepper, you know, because it's on all the dishes we made has pepper. Why? Because we got too accustomed to it. Also salt. So sometimes let's just not put the pepper because we want to be different, and we are. Okay, so now we have our potatoes that are only salted and natural, right? And so we can maybe put a little bit of butter on those. Is that something you want to do? Garlic? Yeah, garlic. Okay, awesome. So salt and garlic. Very good. And what about putting cinnamon in the potatoes? Is that breaking the law?
Nope.
No.
That's interesting.
but maybe not for us, right?
Well, we already have some cinnamon flavors going on.
Exactly. We don't want it in everything.
No. A little salt. I like the idea of butter.
Butter? Okay.
Yeah,
Who has the butter? I think it's over here.
Butter.
Yeah. Do you mind bringing some, girls?
Probably a little salt in the potatoes, I think, too.
I put some already,
Oh,
but I
okay.
didn't stir it yet.
Okay.
So now, you see, I'm just taking about this much butter,
Mm-hmm.
right? But not too much. And that's kind of just going to melt in there. And you see, if we don't want the potatoes to break into pieces too much, we can just kind of give them a little bit of an earthquake. We like doing that in California. Okay. So we have our potatoes, our chicken, our red cabbage, the sauce. The plate is ready. So a good trick when you plate your food is that you heat up the plates first. So sometimes I put my plates in the oven for a minute or in the microwave if you have a microwave. I don't have a microwave, so I put my plates just in the normal oven. Sometimes even on the flame, I turn it on for just a minute. So here, the cabbage is almost done. So I'm just going to put this next to a heat source. So it's slowly going to warm up. And so our chicken is cold now. In other words, it has cooled down in the meantime, and it also rested a little. So now we can slice our chicken by putting a knife on it. And now if you just cut it, the bacon might fall off. So it's a good idea to put the knife between the pointer finger and the middle finger, and then you kind of just hold it, but be careful not to cut yourself. So that's one way that keeps the bacon, you see, on the chicken all around. You see, I can also do it without that. Go halfway down and then hold it, and then continue cutting all the way down. And then it also looks nice, right? Or we can just cut it without looking. And then it's going to kind of fall apart, which is fine too. All right. But you see, I would say this is probably the nicest slice, right? And then this one and this one. So now it depends, you know. The chef that's been cooking has to taste the food before it's served. So it's good that you have a little bit of cut-offs so you can taste it before you serve it to the guests. Okay, so now the plate got a little bit hotter over there, or warm. So we get our plate over here. Was that fun so far?
Yes, very fun.
How come you like cooking so much?
Because I like to eat a lot.
That helps. I think hunger is the best chef.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because if we're not hungry, a lot of times my kids are not even hungry, you know? And then I put the food there, like, how was it? It was good. But if they're very hungry, then it tastes better.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our chicken that's not really hot right now. And then we have our sauce that is hot, the cabbage that is hot, the plate is hot. Everything except the chicken is hot. So I personally like to put my chicken in the sauce. You see? Just to warm it up in there. Okay? So now we can let that sit here for a minute. And now I'm going to bring over the cabbage. I think the potatoes are already here. And the cabbage. All right. So you see, the liquid of the cabbage is almost gone, and it's turned into my favorite color. What is this color called?
Dark magenta.
I like saying magenta.
I was gonna say magenta. Yeah.
Magenta is my favorite color, but it's not really magenta, it's purple.
Right.
Because you're right, but I'm wrong. So with the fork is going to be very difficult, right? Because the liquid is going to like drip everywhere. So, you know, you can choose to just put the cabbage with a spoon. If we still have a spoon somewhere, do we?
The one with the holes.
Yeah.
Or the big one.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So you see, you just tilt it a little bit so all the juice goes down here, right? And then you just take your cabbage like this, and it's natural. There's nothing else in it. If you want, you can also, and let's go back to the stove now, because we're going to plate this in just a minute. Let's turn this on for just a sec. Right. Okay, so remember, we made that oblak or cornstarch with water, and sometimes you'll end up making way too much, like me. So it's good to just keep this around somewhere in a cup in the fridge. So next time you make a sauce or you cook something, you always have this at your disposal. So you see, after a while it sets, and you see I have like the spoon I used for the sauce earlier, but that's okay. It's just going to give it some extra flavor. But it shouldn't have a strange thing like raw chicken or something.
Martin, what's the texture of the cabbage at this point? Is it still a little crunchy or is it soft?
So the cabbage, I didn't taste it yet, but I know that it's still crunchy.
Okay.
It could take about an hour to be completely soft. You can also put this in the blender and make a red cabbage soup. But I like my red cabbage to have some crunch. So you see, now I'm putting this oblak into the sauce and see what it does. It makes it thicker, but it's not quite at the thickness I need because it's still gonna like run around on the plate and I only have it over here. So I'll put another spoon on this side until it gets thick and turns into one dish. And you see how the cornstarch, or are we using cornstarch or potato starch? Corn, okay. So you see, it gets thicker, but still a little bit runny. So put another spoon.
I'm curious, Paul, how do you like your cabbage? Do you like it soft or do you like it still a little crunchy? Answer us in the chat.
Okay. So you see on the outside, because this is a sweet dish and has sugar, there is again caramelization happening. So once this caramelizes too much, it could turn a little bit brown or lose this pretty purple color. But you see, you'll know done when you do this, and you see the sauce is not separate anymore. You see, it's kind of all one thing, but we still have this nice and liquidy sauce. Okay. The strudel timer. Do you want to take a look, chef? Let's see if it's burned. No, not yet, right? Yeah, but remember we put it on the bottom, and the heat in such an oven comes from the top and the bottom. So that means that now it's closer to the bottom, which means there's going to be more heat on the bottom than the top. A lot of words to explain nothing. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is we will rotate it. Take it from the bottom and put it to the top, right? So it can cook also on top. Because if you leave it on down there until it's done, it's never going to get color. It's going to be burned on the bottom. Or we put it in the middle of the stove. Does it make sense now?
Yes.
Okay. So that magenta color. I like wearing a shirt in this color and eat it because it's also delicious. Magenta tastes delicious. And also this plate has a color. You see, when you choose your dishes, it's sometimes a good idea to kind of match it with your food. This particular plate was made for this dish by Andrea. She's actually holding the microphone right now. Can you show her? Doris?
Hello.
Yeah. So she's been helping us the whole way through and made these plates. And I think she's working on her website, but she's, to me, a quite impressive artist being able to make such plates. So you see, we put this down. It depends on how much you want to put, but I like to put this rather flat. And then we need like a clean spoon. And then we go to our chicken dish, our chicken part, and put that on top, you see.
Ceramicsbyandrea.com.
Thank you.
Okay. So you see the sauce kind of sticks to it. It doesn't look so nice with the sauce on it. It looks better if the chicken comes out of the oven, you slice it and put it on the plate. But to me, it tastes much better if you soak it in the sauce. And then I like to put a lot of sauce. I mean, what is a lot? It means I put like 3 of this little spoon. Because the cabbage is already saucy. And then we have our potatoes. You see, I have a spoon with a smiley face. That always helps. Okay, so now I'm placing my potatoes around. And so I like uneven numbers, like basically 7 or 9 or 5. It doesn't look so good when you have 4 or 2. You see, I have an uneven number of chicken. And so I just put the potatoes. And this is probably the most appreciated potato by Brent, right, Brent? That's how you eat yours. Okay. So now what about decoration? So here, remember we had these celery leaves from when we made the sauce. And it just comes in handy for me to do it. But you don't want to put a whole lot of it, just a little bit to give it a nice accent, you see? And because your eyes will really decide if it's a good or a bad dish. It's that important. And then once you taste it, that's what makes you say, that's good. But make sure it looks good. Okay, so now we have our chicken dish. If you don't want that much decoration, you can just put one bigger one in the middle. That works as well.
People are curious how they know when the strudel is done.
Let's take a look and determine what tells us if it's done. But in general, the strudel is done when the apples are cooked through. So let's take a look. I believe it takes about 3 more minutes now until it's cooked. So when I take it out right now and I close the oven again, I can see that it's, if you want to come a little bit closer, you'll see how it's sizzling down here. I'm not sure how well you can tell, but you see it's cooking, but the dough is not quite cooked yet, and the liquid is not coming out anywhere yet. So that means it's about 75% done. So I'll put it in there again on top. And now I also turn up the temperature to 450. So from 400 to 450. And I want to make sure the oven's on also. Yes. Okay, so I think we have beautiful soup. We have a beautiful salad, but there's no decoration yet on the salad. Should we put something on there? What should we do? Maybe grate a carrot over it. You want to do that? You see, we have all these fresh ingredients. So they picked all this at the farm. There's cabbages and stuff, because of course tomorrow's another day. But you know, I could take this off, and then we just need some kind of grater, and then we can grate some carrot over the kale salad. Also, if you want to grate any other things on there, like a coconut, for example, is also good. So I'm sort of a hippie. I don't like to peel this too much. So I'm just going to put it raw. And you see, I'm going to not grate it like this, but lengthwise. So you see, it makes some sort of long thing. There you go. A little bit of carrot. You get the rest.
You could grate some beets if you wanted more magenta in your meal.
Magenta, yes. Do you have anything else you want to put on there? Sheila, do you have any other preferences?
Nope.
You're more of a down-to-earth person, huh?
That's great.
Yeah, good. All right. So we just wipe the edges a little bit so it's nice and presentable. So now you want to, if you use such beautiful plates, such platters, just make sure you have enough space on the table. Or if not, just have everybody sit down, and then you can just, if I find another spoon, maybe these two. You see, you can put the 2 spoons, you can hold them like this. It's like learning how to deal with chopsticks. But you see, you can do it like this. And then you go to the plates, and you can grab it like this, put it on someone's plate. Does that make sense? It just requires a little bit of practice, and then it can be done. Yeah? So, you know, you can put it on people's plates when they're already sitting down, or otherwise, you can put it right in the middle of your table with a ladle and serve it family style. That's really my preference. Put the food on the platter like this, and then everybody takes as much as they like, or as much as they can eat. And they can also ask for seconds or just help themselves. Yeah, do we have any other questions from the guests at home?
We have one more video to show them.
Okay. So while we're waiting on the strudel, maybe we could watch that video really quick. I'd be interested. What is it about?
It's a mom from who is working in education and is a single mom, and was very nervous about going back to school with distance learning. So her experience of sending her kiddo to the farm fair.
Hello. I don't think it would be an overstatement to say that the Farm Discovery program has saved my life. I'm able to work at home and focus, and I know that my son Gray is getting focused attention at his own distance learning platform in the morning with his Zoom meetings, and then in the afternoon he gets amazing curriculum based on the farm and the natural environment around the farm. The program has allowed him to have friends and people around who aren't just me, and especially during this time with the distance learning and the COVID situation that we're all dealing with. So I just wanted to share my appreciation and say how grateful I am to have been awarded the scholarship. We wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise. And I just love the staff there and all of the families that we've met. And I feel really happy and thankful that he's able to be there. So thank you.
Okay, so the strudel's almost done. Let's check what it looks like now. And so, as a nice option, we could put some powdered sugar on top. Or if you like it less sweet, you don't have to do that. Let's take a look if it's done. So you know the smell is already also going to tell you something about it. When it smells good, means it's probably done. And then you see how stuff starts coming out right there. It's very hot, so that's just sugar that's coming out. Another indicator is the color. You see? It's cooked through and it's brown. Okay, so now we can take it back there. And we are going to put some powdered sugar on top. And maybe somebody could get us a little, what's it called?
Sifter?
A sifter, yeah. I think we had one earlier. There we go. Okay. So it's a good idea to have your sifter completely dry because it's going to be very difficult for the sugar to fall through it if you don't. So we just hold this on top and you see I'm just going to go over like this. And then I'm going to just go like this and shake sugar on top of the dessert. Let it snow.
Or rain.
Or rain. Okay. And so now we need to transfer this onto a plate. And that's not going to be easy if we don't cut it. Plus it's going to be hot. So it's not easy to do, but it's possible. So first you see the strudel didn't stick, right? It didn't stick to the pan. So that's good because we put oil. Then if you have a tool, that's definitely helpful. Pick it up on one side and hold it on the other, and then just kind of slowly, fastly transfer. Did you see how I did that? Now in slow motion. Haha, easy, right? Okay, and here also make sure it doesn't stick. Okay, so now we wanted to see if it came out okay and what it looks like on the inside. So I'm going to cut this first piece off. We can take a look. Let's go. So you can see the apples are cooked through, the cinnamon and the smell. Everything is aligned and beautiful. So now we can take our strudel and put it on our plate. Just like that. Can you smell that? Hold this and smell it. Does it smell good?
It smells like apple pie.
Apple pie. What's good with apple pie?
Cream.
Cream. Yes, whipped cream, right?
Ice cream.
Vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
So what else is good with cinnamon and the apples? These are probably the most typical things, but we could also have a vanilla sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think you did really well for first time baking such a thing. I mean, respect to you for making it so great, both of you and your sister. So now let's go over there and put it all next to each other. So we have our salad, our soup, our chicken, and our dessert. And so we still didn't taste that cheese. Who would like a piece of cheese? I'm just going to cut the cheese into pieces.
But, if anyone's gluten-free, there's a little crackers of gluten-free.
So I'm just going to make you some of these. So there is a goat farm nearby. The milk comes from there. And I don't know how many times before you eat goat cheese. I personally like the flavor of goat cheese much better than cow's cheese, but both are good. Okay. I think that's it. So you all got like a gluten-free cracker, right? Which is not always true. The taste does it. A lot of people said to me in the past that, if something's a diet, it's not going to taste good. Like if a yogurt has no sugar, it's not good. If it has no fat, it's not good. If a cracker has no gluten, it's not good, and so on. But I think it's all good because we have to respect food, we have to respect nature, and respect each other, and if we can do that, then we're fine with pretty much anything. Enjoy. Have you all tasted a piece?
Really good.
Maybe we can all gather around because I think it's well after 7 and everything's done, right? Do we want to all get on camera? And
all right, let's take the group picture. So why don't I take the camera and I want to show who was filming all this. So I can hold this and you can go over to the picture and I'll hold this as well. And I can show you who was involved in all this. Great doing. Here is the whole team. Good, thank you. What a wonderful experience it was for me. Thank you for letting me be part of it. And I'll come back to have you all in one frame. Yay!
We're going to put up a slide. There were so many businesses who are supporting Farm Discovery this year, and many have stepped up to support us even more generously than they have in the past. And in a year like this, it is so meaningful. You're helping us with all these programs that are really meeting people's needs where they are this year in this special time. And we are just endlessly grateful. And thank you to you guys for being here. Support our sponsors, support Capitola Garden Feast, support the Duntons. And thank you to the staff who did such a great job and volunteers who helped us out today.
All right, then thank you to all of you at home that cooked with us today. I didn't get to meet you or talk with you much today, which I wanted, but maybe next time. And thanks for your patience and your flexibility. I know it wasn't an easy task to cook something without a recipe, just this online instruction. But I hope I was able to share my fun ways of cooking with you. And if there's ever anything I can do with you cooking-wise, let me know. And thanks for Farm Discovery at Life Earth Farm for having me today.
Woohoo! Thank you. All right. Who's hungry?
Yeah. So dinner time. Yeah. All right. So why don't you all grab